Hello. It is... Wait, is it actually Wednesday? It is Wednesday, my dudes. I was gonna say, I'm like, wait, it's not Wednesday. Psych, it is. Hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Hope you're all doing well. I'm really tired today. It's almost like the lack of sleep has been catching up to me. Crazy. Kind of crazy. I tried staying up a little bit, so Tetra getting some extra sleep, and yeah, that didn't work out. That didn't work out at all. BB was like, I'm gonna wake up every 20 minutes. And I was like, okay. Screeching Wednesday frog intensifies. That's literally what it is. Just like, baby hours, yeah. And I have like so many things I have to do, and I feel like I haven't done anything in 2 days. Praise be the great horned rat. Yes, yes. Is that what we're learning about today? Horned rats. Oh, we are. The horned rat. Okay. Funniest, silliest clown thing fighting his toughest, hardest battle fights. This is quite a title. So this originally was supposed to be last week, but because I was so tired last week, I ended up sleeping in. Maybe it just seems like Wednesdays are just not my days, man. If you don't sleep, you get tired. I can't believe it. I know. Mind blown. Mind actually blown. Yeah, BB can't be contained. I mean, she sleeps for the most part through the night because she's a good BB, but yeah, I don't know what it was. Last night she was like, I must awaken, and I must poop and fart in, and then I must be hungry, and then I was like, ugh. She's like, I will open my eyes, and I'm like, no, BB, sleep time. I'm sorry, also, I still have a cough that is lingering. Humidifier still not on the way, so, yeah, I gotta go contact them and be like, hello? At you managed to cap some more crumbs of sleep. Yeah, it's kind of just tough, though. It's tough, though. Rats and fat rolls is what a day. It's also serial killer. So we have the horned rat, we have a serial killer thing that we added on, and the largest animals you've never heard of. So more fossil-y things, I think, because it's from Extinct Zoo. So I think that's what it is. I'm not sure. I haven't watched any of it, so I don't actually know. You're trying to sleep, BB denied. Yeah, it's not that like she fights it that much. She'll just be like, and then she'll be awake, and I'm like, so I'm trying not to cough, but I apologize. I didn't have time to grab a cough drop this morning. I also was like running a little late because I was gonna go eat, and then I found out that the food that I had was thrown out, so I didn't have any food, so I had to like find some just scraps left over, so I just had fig bars. Pooping, screaming, farting. Yeah, not that bad though. All this love for Razzly has actually convinced me to start playing Vermintide again. Is that it's just only based on the Skaven? I also broke my headphones the other day because it got stuck in like the plastic thingy that you put in your ear, so I don't know how I'm gonna fix that later. Also, Dawn apparently was playing with my microphone because the cover for it popped off, so it's just yeah. Should have been coming to give you the humidifier. My life is yours. It's been like hold on, let me clear my throat. It's been like almost 2 weeks now, a week and a half. Assuming they don't ship on the weekends, right? Because, fine. It's been like a full work week, and now it's already Wednesday, so I'm like, it's been eight days throughout the week, not including the weekend, so I'm like, because I'm pretty sure it was bought on like a Saturday, and I'm like, I didn't expect them. Feel on a personal, spiritual level, yeah. Yes, crazy. Humidifier's taking forever. He needs to get Tetra to go full Karen though when she gets the chance. It says it's ordered, but they just haven't shipped it out yet. And I'm like, you ordered it? I know it's probably like its own company, so I get it. It's not like Amazon where it's gonna be there in like 2 days. But I'm just like, it's not. I don't know. My voice is fading. Holy moly! It's not like shipped out yet after eight work days. Like I'm just confused. Like usually I take like five to 8 days to ship out, right? So that's fine. But I don't know. Feel the pain of low sleep. Slept for 3 hours. Been awake since 8 a.m. waiting for my bed to arrive and have not eaten yet. We're now 5 p.m. Oh my god, trash. What the heck? Vermintide 2 is the game with the most Skaven, yes. I mean, Vermintide kind of makes sense. Could be experiencing delays through the weather. I had something similar happen with something I ordered recently, but it hasn't, I mean, it's been cold. It's been really, really cold, but it hasn't snowed or anything. It's like 40 degrees today. And it's been cold. It was in the single digits and the negatives with the wind chill, but that was only 2 days. So even if you exclude those 2 days, it's like, I don't know. And bed still hasn't arrived. I want to cry. Oh, I'm sorry, Trash. I will give you all my tired EPs, so when the bed actually is there, you could sleep. I mean, you already are tired, but hope you watch Pancreas's video on the Lizardmen sometime too. It's just as interesting as the Skaven video. I am curious about it, but is it fantasy? I think lizards are part of the fantasy, right? I'll eventually watch more stuff. I have very limited time for the most part. So can you stop scratching the baby's bassinet, please? Shortcake? Please? That's for the baby, not for you. Scratching the side of it and like actually destroying it. Holy moly. Where was I? Beating up Skaven as the dwarf class. What the hell? Poor little rats. Lizardmen are fantasy? Okay, I generally don't remember because I have like 800 billion other things on my mind at any time. What an adorable demon. Okay, so both of the cats love the bassinet that we have in the living room when baby's supposed to be in there. And, it's fine because they don't really jump in for the most part. We've had a couple scares, but they don't jump in. But they love just sitting in it and laying it when the baby's not in there. And it's like, it's cute because you're like, oh, look at the little cats in the bassinet. But at the same time, it's like, please, that's supposed to be for the baby. So we have to clean the bed sheet like all the time. But I hope they're not like destroying the mesh. Dawn's gonna do something because she's sitting on top of the dresser and she's staring into space. Oh god. Okay, I'm baby shortcake. No, it's literally what she does though. She's like, I'm cute, I'm baby, and then she just sits there and I'm like, okay. Might want to contact their customer service if possible to make sure it hasn't fallen through the cracks. Yeah, the problem is because it's through another service, it's like actually a pain in the butt to respond to them. I kind of wish I just put it through Amazon. It sounds terrible, but like, when it's through a company itself, I'm patient. I just need like updates. So if they're like, hey, ships out in 2 weeks, I'd be like, okay, so let me spend 2 weeks. I'll wait 2 weeks for it to ship out. That's fine. But there's like no contact. There's no tracking number. There's like nothing. It just says ordered. So I'm like, huh. Don't worry, chat. Remember for you when it comes to lore. Yo, and chat does. Believe me, chat does. Claw side holes in the mesh of the baby thing. Why no put claws in it? I mean, see, now Dawn's in the big thing. Can you not lay on the... We also put a cardboard box in there, so like when we have to put baby in it, it's not like covered in cat hair, obviously. And of course they lay on the parts that is like just not covered, or they'll touch the parts not covered with the cardboard box, so it's... We're also doing the lizardman this live. No, I'm not doing lizardman this time. We're doing the horned rat. We're doing serial killers, and then the largest animals from Extinct Zoo. So we'll be doing those two. I'll probably jump into it relatively quickly because I don't have too much to yap about besides baby, which I yap about all the time, and I wanna make sure I'm spending as much time with baby, and I have some stuff around the house I gotta do today too, because it's only me today. It's no Tetra, so Amazon does make things much easier a good chunk of the time. Yeah, as much as I hate it, it's like it would have been nice because I had the little humidifier running like day and night, and it's gotten to the point where even though it's plugged in constantly, the battery dies. Chat loves BB updates. Aw, I'm glad. Wait, I know I said it on Twitch yesterday, but the VOD's hidden now. So, I have a funny mom story, and then we'll jump into the videos. But, I was putting BB to sleep, and when you put BB to sleep, I kind of, like, rock her, right? So her head sits in my, left arm, like in the crevice of my arm, and I rock her back and forth, right? And I put her to sleep, and eventually she gets to sleep. And that night, Tetra ordered ice cream because I was like, Tetra, I really, really want ice cream. I don't know why. I just had a huge craving for ice cream. So I put BB to sleep, handed her over to Tetra to make sure she was asleep, and not like in that like soft REM state where she'll wake up 2 minutes later. Tetra hands me the ice cream, so I'm like, oh cool, I could eat. And I start rocking the ice cream in my hand. And I'm like, oh my god, and then I looked at Tetra and I was like, Tetra, I need you to see what I was just doing. And she's like, well, what happened? Everything okay? And I showed her I was like rocking the ice cream, and I was like, I was like, damn, okay. There's so many mom VTubers nowadays. I mean, okay. All right, you want people to not have kids? Weird. Muscle memory strikes again. Yeah, it was the funniest thing. It was and then I'm like, oh my god, I'm actually losing it. Actually losing it. I'm just the innate ability to like rock the baby. All these other sweet impressions. Of course, the mom mode kicks in. It's funny. It's funny. Yeah, shocking. People do have children. Crazy. Just because I'm a funny cat girl on the internet, I can't have children, I guess. It's crazy. Ugh. Alright, well, let's jump into the videos. Sound should be on. Also, if you hear, like, crinkling sounds, I'm trying to take off the rest of my powdered nail polish. And apparently I have to cover it in nail polish remover and tinfoil. So if you hear, like, little sounds, it's crazy. Think of the immersion. No. Oh, gosh. Immersion rune. I'm gonna rune one more thing for you guys. I'm not actually a cat girl. I know. Crazy work. Crazy work. I know. Not actually a cat girl. Yeah, I don't have patience for that today. I really don't. Making tinfoil hats? No, tinfoil finger covers, Lamau. Tinfoil on my fingies. Wait till you get distracted, put the TV remote in the fridge after making coffee. I feel like I've done that close before. Can you still do the ear magic? What, this? Everyone knows cat girls went through mitosis. It's just so crazy. Imagine if your model made a model for BB. 2 reasons why that won't happen. I mean, it's cute because I've thought about it too. Oh, the vanishing ears? Yes, I can in a minute. 1, I don't want a character for my baby because there's freaking weird people on the internet. So, she will not have a character. And 2, this model's pretty expensive and I do not have the money for it. So, those are 2 reasons why that won't happen. It's cute though. I've thought about it. I've honestly thought about it because I'm like, oh, we get artwork, like, you know, with Tetra and myself and the baby, and it's like, also, I apologize in advance to any people. I am literally sleep deprived, so I do not have patience today. So if you want to be a little poop and farting, I don't have patience for today. You can scream into the void. The vanishing ears ones. I will show you guys a magic trick really quick because Lurk requested it. Wait, if you're not a cot and women aren't real, what is cot? A figment of everyone's imagination. Figment of everyone's imagination. No characters fair. There's some unsavory people out there. Yeah, believe me, I've literally thought about it because I'm like, how cute would it be to be an artwork of the 3 of us? But yeah, this is why we can't have nice things. Right, chat? Want to see a magic trick? Ready? 1, 2, 3. Wow. Yes, it's happening. The magic trick is here. The Rome Styles is not here to stop you, chat. I am I am just a human VTuber now. Crazy. I know. Wow. I know. What'd you do to cat? Blink for a second, the ears are gone, the tail's gone too. Now I'm just a human VTuber. Now it's just like real life chat. Except I don't have pink eyes either. Pink eyes, I don't wear an Alice in Wonderland outfit every day. Oh, crazy. Your Sans skin ears is weird. It is a little weird. It is a little funky. It is quite funky. She's got not the tail. Yeah, the tail's gone. You're welcome, chat. Sometimes we do a little magic here. All right, chat, I'm gonna bring it back because we're gonna jump into videos. It's been 20 minutes, so we're gonna get all set up. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Wow! Babies have no sense of object permanence, and it seems like we don't either because who is this? That'd be funny. Highly recommend watching Reggie's Skaven video. It's so much fun. I'd have to get mods to vet it first because I don't think I've ever heard of Reggie before. God, thank God you're back. Yeah, sorry, chat. I had to go get some milk. Ugh. I'm back now, chat. Sorry for leaving you, Lamau. All right, let me move this over. Beep. Music will be off for a second. We could just scream into the void. Put over here. Oh, wait, hold on. I didn't hide something else. Make this full screen.
Warhammer has a...
No, silence, not yet. Warhammer. Okay. Internet. Yippee! Okay, we got it. Whew. Reggie's Total War 3 videos are fire. That's the first time I think I've seen it recommended. If you like link it in like the comment to this video, I'll make sure I'll check it out later. I'll have someone vet it to make sure it's good. So just long enough because I got pulled over returning something to Target. Pulled over? Please be careful, Wisdom. Please be careful. Okay, this is another Skaven video. It's about the Horned Rat. We watched the Skaven clans, Skaven weapons. So I'm slowly piecing together all of the Skaven lore and information, and I will probably forget some of it, but I'm trying my best, because Skaven are cool. So let's see, hopefully the volume is good and we can just zoom right into it right away.
A lot of characters in it. Shocking, I know. Also surely shocking to you is that people tend to like some of these characters quite a bit. I myself, of course...
Okay, volume's good, right? The Horned Rat's funny, silliest clown, fighting its toughest, hardest battle fights. This is quite the title. Thing cool. Okay, the Great Horned Rat is a massive goblin core god. I am so excited to learn about it. Hi, homie. I'm so excited. All right, let's go, gamers. Let's go.
I'm partial to the Prince and Emperor of Reichland, Karl Franz, but there's plenty of other characters that have cults of personalities around them as well. Just ask someone who's read the Night Lord's Omnibus. They'll scream at you about Talos for so long you'll think you've ended up in Whiterun by mistake. Everyone will argue to you about why X character they like is actually the greatest fella to ever exist in Warhammer. It's just how it is. Even Iron Hands fans can somehow argue for hours about how Ferrus Manus is interesting. It doesn't matter how prominent a character actually is in these settings. They all have their rabid fans.
I mean, yeah, that's the point, right? That's, if you're a fan, you gotta talk about how cool they are. Even if they're, like, actually terrible about poor Ferris. I don't know anything about these characters yet, so I'm like,
But one stands above all of them. There can only be one character in Warhammer that is truly the greatest of them all, and in this case, that title does not go to an Ultramarine. For this character, we must delve deeper. We have to enter into the layers of Skavendom to find him,
yes.
For where else can we find the greatest character if not in the greatest faction? From wizards of boundless power to warriors of unparalleled might, to even Gotchick and Felix themselves, the mightiest duo to ever grace Warhammer, all have been equally unable to rid the world of our true hero. The one, the only, Grey Seer Thanquol. In him you will find true bravery, courage, endless magical might strength, and only the finest of tactical strategic minds to ever be seen in the universe. Today, we talk about not just a silly rat man, but the silly rat man.
The silly rat man. I think they told us a little bit about him in the original video. I think I don't remember a lot of it though. I don't remember a lot of it. He has a number of interesting character traits. Really, that's so sad. Poor Ferris.
But before we begin, allow me to take an educated guess. You either have or currently are using my videos to fall asleep. It's no worries, I do that with YouTube too. And if you'd like some phenomenal sleep aids, you could do no better than Manta
Chad, are you sleeping? Be honest. I'm just kidding.
Sleep, the sponsor of this video. Manta Sleep makes not just sleep masks, but the finest of sleep masks ever graced
I mean,
this
I have
planet.
a silk sleep
When
mask.
you pop
It's
one
great.
of these bad boys on, you're in for a world of comfort and easy sleep. And I can vouch for it personally. I have a few of their sleep masks, and as of late, I've been using the weighted sleep mask. It's a nice bit of pressure that helps me relax and fall asleep.
Good morning.
The premium feel means that even though it's weighted,
I have to
it's
remember
not at all
to,
an uncomfortable sensation, and I can
to
adjust
get
it
this out
as
in the
I
other
need.
video.
For those of you like myself
The
who
frick
said
is
more
this
closely
sleep? Can I
resembles
eat
a
it? Yeah, I
bowling
think
ball
so.
than what most people
That
have
looks
for a
pretty
skull,
edible.
this is a huge plus. But that's by no means the only
Confused
thing I have.
where in the video I
silk
drank
sleep
that there
mask
was
is
a
one of the
VOD. No,
softest
we're
things
live,
ever.
sorry.
There's 2 variations of the sound mask if you like to listen to something as you fall asleep.
What?
Whatever your preference for sleep
woke up
masks
a few
might
minutes
be,
ago, must have
Manta
sensed the
Sleep
streamer
has
going
one to
live
suit
in the
your
Force.
needs.
It was
If you'd like
known.
to get one of these bad boys, I've got just
Yeah,
the
it was
thing
a nice
for you.
beard, real.
Using my link in the description and pinned comment and code Pancreas, you can get yourself 10% off your Manta Sleep order. Just click the link below and use code Pancreas for 10% off your order. Whether you're just
I
taking
don't think
a
they
quick
have
nap
that
or
now.
turning in for
That's
the night,
probably a
Manta Sleep
different
can make
feature.
the experience all
It's
the
probably in
better.
the works.
So grab yourself one of their masks today for a more restful tonight.
Okay,
Now
back
then,
to the
time
rats.
to pay respects not only to Thanquol, but Bone Ripper and his thousands of identically named brothers. Thanquol's origins aren't completely known, but by virtue of him being a Grey Seer, we can draw from what we know of them to make some reasonably educated guesses. Whatever clan he once came from, he was born with gray fur and horns growing out of his head, and so from birth he was already destined to become a Grey Seer. Becoming an apprentice to an existing Grey Seer named Sleekit, he was a model apprentice to his liege, just as dutiful, studious, and loyal to Sleekit as any apprentice would be to their own Skaven master. To translate that, he was dutiful in trying to get his fellow apprentices killed and framed for things, studious in all the ways he could potentially get his master killed so he could take his place, and of course, loyal enough that when his master was crushed to death, Thanquol stayed just long enough to watch him die and steal Sleekit's staff and ammunition.
I was gonna say, that sounds pretty right. They're like, oh, they were pretty, you know, I was like, oh, they probably stayed long enough just to make sure they had to learn what they had to learn, and then, you know, because what's being a Skaven without, you know, stabbing someone or deleting someone in their honor, you know what I mean? You know what I mean?
So he could become a Grey Seer instead. Naturally, yes, Thanquol played a part in his master's demise. He's a Grey Seer, of course he was involved in his master's death.
Yeah.
His fellow apprentices were all done in on their own though, or at least without Thanquol's direct help. In between his origin and Gotchick and Felix, not too much happens, but at some point in his life he was picked up by Seer Lord Kritislik, the head of the Grey Seers and a member of the Council of 13. Thanquol was specifically chosen by the head of all Grey Seers to be his top guy, so you know his life is going to be fun to read about. Now this video is going to be a bit more of me yapping about all things Thanquol has done, because I just like talking about the funny rat more than anything. So how about we get into his first appearance? At first glance, the title of the book does not bode well for him, I must admit. Skaven Slayer, a Gotchick and Felix book. Thanquol at this point was deemed to have enough...
Okay, sorry, looking at the map. So this is just part of the book where it says everything is? Drill bombs, CRMs. Is this where they live? No? I see, does it say there's sewer entrances? There's, Palace, Morris Hill, Statue of Magnus, Magnus! I know that guy! I mean, mostly because it's my cat's name, not related, but I know I've heard of him. That's Nuln. Nuln's a human city in the Empire thing. Do the Skaven live, like, underneath it? Because there's sewers and stuff. It's an Empire spot, human settlement. Oh. That's kind of sad. I was trying to learn things. I'm like, wow, look how they navigate. Whoa. That was a lie. Okay. All right. So I'm assuming that they're gonna beat up the Skaven because he says he doesn't start off well. Okay. Let's see what he says.
Importance to the Council of 13 and Kritislik to be given command of the Skaven invasion of the imperial city of Nuln. The head of the Empire's engineering and gunpowder production, Nuln would be a great city to take down in any invasion of the Empire of Man. Thanquol was to lead the charge on this operation, and almost immediately he just couldn't help himself from being himself. Thanquol's initial plan to take over Nuln was, in all honesty, not a bad one. One of the heads of Nuln was, shall we say, not a fan of mutants even by Warhammer standards, but somehow in this insane man's mind, Skaven were okay to work with for a bit. They were outwardly bad, you see, whereas the insidious mutant lurks anywhere and should be dealt with first. This attitude led to him trusting Thanquol, a sentence that doesn't bode well for anyone. Thanquol's...
Yeah, I was gonna say, imagine trusting the Skaven Lamau.
Plan was to manipulate Fritz von Halstead, the individual in question, to eventually cause a civil war in the Empire by way of getting Karl Franz's brother-in-law killed. Fine plan, but unfortunately Gotchick and Felix tripped over it. At the time, they were working as sewer jacks and patrolling known sewers, not because they were specifically looking for Thanquol, but because those two are in a perpetual state of having no money and needing odd jobs to get by. And eventually they found Fritz speaking to a Skaven, eventually found out his identity, and tracked him down and killed him. Thanquol's part in this was to fight Felix, watch as Gotchick ripped his pet rat ogre in half with a single blow, and then wisely chose to be anywhere but where those two were at. But the Nuln saga continues, friends. Thanquol, as any good Skaven leader does, had underlings, most of the important ones from the various great clans of the Skaven. Molder.
Underlings that he didn't delete right away? Sus.
Scryer, all the big hits. These underlings started coming up with plans to take over Nuln, which would be great for anyone else, but for a Skaven leader, that's basically the end of the world. Those underlings will get the credit and alert the Council of 13 that Thanquol doesn't deserve to be in charge anymore. So Thanquol starts mailing Gotchick and Felix letters telling them about every single plan the Skaven are going to be working towards, because it can't be the Skaven that succeed, it has to be him, Grey Seer Thanquol, to take down Nuln. And because it's Gotchick and...
I mean, to be fair, if people are going to betray us and be like, yeah, you're not fit to be a leader, I would do everything in my power to be like, psych. Guess who's going to be the one who's known to do the cool things? It's going to be me. Underlings are great for a Skaven, gives you someone else to throw in the way of assassins coming at you. You know, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Felix, all of these plans are dealt with, some a bit less successfully than others, but nothing works well enough for the Skaven to take down Nuln. Clan Pestilence is going to spread some diseases with a super plague. Better send a letter to the dwarf and the manling to go stop them. Clan Scryer is going to steal the steam tank. Tell the dynamic duo to kill every rat involved. The best part of all of
Dang. Skaven are most reliable, trustworthy of all races. Yes, yes. Man thinks should always invite allow Skaven to their city settlements. Yes, yes. Thank you for the super chat, Werebots. No. Okay, as much as I like this Skaven, I don't know if I trust them. I would keep them, you know, like keep your friends close and your enemies closer. No, Skaven are staying very, very far away. I'd be like, wow, those Skaven are so crazy. Haha, keeps them very, very far away. States away, countries away, even though they live underneath areas, but
this is that Godric and Felix take a single look at these letters and go, a rat wrote this. This was clearly a Skaven that handed that to you. But they just shrug and listen anyways, because it keeps working out. From Thanquil's perspective, this is a genius act to deal with treacherous underlings and come out on top. But from theirs, it's just like, well, I guess this one rat really doesn't like the others. Might as well keep doing what he says. Eventually, he starts cluing in on the fact that these two are perhaps going to cause him some trouble down the line, and sends Clan Eshin assassins to kill him. Doesn't work. The Skaven Slayer stories are in the first omnibus, and there's 6 of those things. Of course it doesn't work. After this, there's an event where all of Nuln's nobility are together at a ball. The perfect time to strike. Nuln is invaded by the Skaven, everything is in chaos, and then Thanquil still cocks it up by not realizing he's in a Godric and Felix book. He also decided to ass-blast his chief assassin underling to Kingdom Come. Why did he do this? It wasn't much a fan of him, basically. Invasion foiled because Godric and Felix rallied the people and then kicked him out. Thanquil scurries away to plot another day. Now this was an embarrassing defeat for Thanquil, and it lost him quite a bit of money and power. And he knew if he returned to Skavenblight, the Council of 13 would ask him what the hell went wrong, and then probably kill him. So he gathered what money he had left and instead started investigating a dwarf outpost in the middle of nowhere, correctly figuring out that they were surely up to something over there. He did a bit of spying and almost shit himself because he saw the blonde man that had caused him so much trouble and knew his angry short redhead buddy wasn't far behind. So he throws his new forces at the outpost in a semi-panic, which fails, although there is very one sad death scene for a dwarf who was stationed as a guard only to be poisoned to death as he alerts everyone the Skaven are here now. Thanquil's army ends up being routed, but not before he learns that the dwarfs had built themselves a war zeppelin.
Okay, so he's planning all this is crazy to me. He's planning all this and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna do the thing. So he's terrified of the red-haired dwarf and the human guy? I mean, for obvious reasons, because why wouldn't you be extra cautious? But at the same time, like, it just seems silly. Who wouldn't trust rats? They're famously trustworthy. Oh, yeah, 100%. Totally trustworthy. You're right. It's only trustworthy enough as a bulwark against the Order factions. Will you build up your forces and crush them yourself? That's literally what he's doing. He's like, didn't win this time, but next time. He's like, he does all these things, right? Plans against everyone. And then when he loses, he's like, oh, you, hands on hips. Can always trust Skaven to stab you in the back when your usefulness is done. Oh, that's literally what it is. The caught shot, expression though. Pretending he had bad internet at one point in the book to avoid getting shouted at in Ratsu meeting. Wait, what? Oh, it's the man things whose names are on the book cover. Escape. Yeah, it's like, I know these guys are dangerous, so I'm gonna do all these things and then hopefully survive. He has plans. Things really go to his plan, but he got them. If I know all else fails, I know I had my plan, Lamau. Thanquil's indeed a silly little guy, a horrifying silly little guy. He's just a little guy. He's just hee hee ha ha funny.
He has his little ratty Skaven underling, Lurk Snitchtongue, that he's been abusing and having work as a spy, hitch a ride on the damn thing. Since he can see through this poor rat's eyes, he's constantly badgering him on updates on where the Thunder Barge is going. Lurk, who's trying to Skyrim stealth his way around a dwarf Thunder Barge without getting caught, is constantly trying to hide not only his physical presence, but Thanquil's magical communications with them. At one point, he was forced to hide on the outside of the moving Zeppelin, while a chaos storm was happening outside. The poor dude was
How do you hide on the outside of a Zeppelin during a thunderstorm? What?
basically mutated into becoming a rat ogre because his boss wouldn't let him go home when his shift said he was supposed to be done.
Fair.
And when Thanquil meets back up with him, it's right before Godric and Felix are about to head to the Chaos Waste themselves. Thanquil, who had gathered another army of underlings courtesy of Clan Mulder to replace the last one that died under his command, ambushed where the Thunder Barge was briefly going to stop and resupply, as well as capturing Max Schreiber and Ulrika Magneva, two of Godric and Felix's good friends, to put it one way. When the main two fellas showed up alongside Snorri and Malachi, they all started fighting. Thanquol is himself, so of course Max and Ulrika were freed, and then Max and Thanquol started magically wrestling over the airship. And while I haven't really focused much on it, I need you to understand that Thanquol is an absurdly powerful wizard when he's at the top of his game.
Right.
Especially after he's chowed down on Warpstone, he can blast damn near anyone out of his way, even if he might need a bit of a breather afterward. So were it not for Lurk suddenly surprising him and Snorri and Godric approaching him to disrupt his focus, he probably would have ripped the finest piece of dwarf engineering out of the sky. Even when Max joined the fight, the human wizard noted that Thanquol was absurdly powerful and he needed all of his focus to win. Eventually, though, Thanquol was beaten, and he fled this encounter with a teleporting spell after he
Dang. Saddest words. He was beaten. Can I get an 07 in the chat?
realized that Godric was about 10 feet from him with murder in his eyes. Thanquol reappeared back in reality alone some distance away and realized that once again every one of his underlings, and for that matter all of his money, was gone, and he had no idea how to get back to Skavenblight. Lurk showed up, which wasn't really good news for Thanquol, because he was about as happy as anyone could be towards the person who made them sit outside in a rainstorm from hell. But Thanquol threatens to blast him with magic, so instead of fighting, they wander around, discover that a massive chaos horde is invading from the north because it's Warhammer and that just happens sometimes, and they end up in Clan Mulder territory. Lurk proceeds to go and start a revolution in Hell Pit by claiming he's the Horned Rat's son or some shit, while Thanquol gets thrown in jail because one of his underlings from Nuln survived and wasn't terribly happy with.
See? Tried to delete his underling said nah, and now he's thrown in jail. Can't even trust your underling, Sag.
With them. Thanquol's trying to desperately explain that chaos is coming, everyone, and the dude he's talking to is just like, yes, how very intriguing. Have you considered we don't care and I hate you? But Thanquol is Thanquol. And
have you considered we don't care and I hate you? Dang! I'm gonna start using that now.
every god in the universe is smiling down on him because he's the funny little rat guy, so of course he has a free ticket out of this problem too. Because Thanquol has a direct magical connection to Lurk that lets him know where he is and what he's doing, Lurk's slave revolt is completely halted and Thanquol has once again gotten himself back into a stable-ish position. Thanquol is then given command of another army, and for once this actually goes well. While Godric and Felix were defending the city of Prague, Thanquol was just kind of randomly appearing throughout the book. Towards the end he fights part of the same horde Godric and Felix were, and in his own words, despite not even outnumbering the enemy because there were only 4 Skaven for every 1 Chaos Warrior, victory was achieved. And props to him because, yeah, he just won the fight. There wasn't much going on with it. It was
we want to fight, let's go!
The side story in the main Godric and Felix book that amounted to a bunch of rats jumping Chaos Warriors who thought they were going to go fight someone else. But hey, a win is a win, and Thanquol is ready to enjoy some rewards for a resounding Skaven victory. And before I move on to his own books, at one point in the Godric and Felix books, Thanquol is using a far squeaker, basically Skaven Skype. It blew up in his face.
Oh, I remember that, because I was saying they had cell phones. Oh, well, I was going to say he got it to work, but it blew up in his face, so never mind. False alarm.
This was an assassination attempt. This was also the singular time something went wrong in Thanquol's life that he didn't blame on sabotage by other people.
I thought I was going to say the singular time something didn't go wrong, and I'm like, bro just lost a bunch of fights, so, but yeah, that he didn't blame on others, so he blamed it on himself?
It's peak. This rat is peak. We've reached the pinnacle of fictional characters right here.
I thought this said gays here. My bad. Anyway, continuing.
So anyways, we cut to the events of his own books, and immediately he is being kidnapped by other Skaven. And the best part of this is, the book doesn't begin with him even conscious. He is dreaming of himself achieving ultimate power, only to be thwarted by
Fair dream. Fair dream. You know, just an ultimate power. Fair.
Godric and Felix. Those two are literally in his nightmares. He spent such a massive amount of time thinking about that, even this relatively early into their story and his own. When he wakes up, he's tied to a pole being carried by other rats, and immediately, and I mean immediately, he starts blaming other people for his predicament. Sabotage by his underlings, incompetence by his underlings, the hated Godric and Felix things that keep ruining his—
I'm sorry, Morbid, that is such a banger comment. A squeaker wasn't in a Samsung Galaxy Note 7. I understood that reference.
his plans. Nothing is ever his fault, of course. He's taken to the Council of 13, and when he meets with them, instead of congratulating him on defeating a random Chaos army, they're like, hey buddy, where's the Zeppelin? Then they drop him in a hole which he fears is the, quote, maze of inescapable death. But thankfully no, he finds out it's just the maze of merciless penance, which in theory you can survive.
How many mazes they have that he thought it was one and it was another? Okay. Rats and mazes, question mark?
Also, of course the Skaven have things like that. Why wouldn't they have something called the Maze of Inescapable Death? Since he made it through the maze, Thanquol's restored to something resembling a position of power and is told to go snoop around Under Altdorf, the Skaven Undercity that's of course Under Altdorf. The council doesn't think those Skaven Under Altdorf and Under Altdorf are quite as loyal as they should be. Plus, there's an artifact of incredible power that's recently been uncovered there, and the Council of 13 wants it. So he goes to Under Altdorf, but not before he gets some chances to be himself for a bit, aka an asshole. For example, the Skaven have a
I was like, if he gets to be himself for a bit, I'm like, what does that intend though? Okay, well, thanks. Well, they're rats, so yeah, well, I didn't... I too like building mazes in video games. I was meant to like the Skaven, apparently.
single crop they grow called black corn. It's corn that tastes like rat shit, but by virtue of being food that isn't the corpse of another Skaven, having some is a sign of wealth. Thanquol is a picky eater, so he tosses some away to show how wealthy he is.
Picky eater? Bro only eats dino nuggets, Sag.
And to have other Skaven be jealous of him. On the ship that'll take him to Under Altdorf, he also kicks the Skaven boat captain in the face, who then starts beating his underlings and telling them to do better jobs, and the entire exchange ends with the crew of the ship Thanquol is on randomly whipping slaves because they feel slighted. Skaven society truly is a marvel of social engineering. As the book goes on, Thanquol finds more information about the artifact he's after, called the Wormstone, because it makes weird worm things that aren't even technically alive. If a human touches it, they become violently ill until they dissolve into sludge. If a Skaven touches it, there is no ill period. They just die and make more worms. Now's a good time to mention something about Thanquol and his books. They're horror stories. For pretty much everyone that isn't a Skaven, Thanquol's books are an unrelenting march of terror as people wonder what is happening, how to stop it, realizing there's a dastardly Skaven ploy, or that the Skaven are even real in some cases. Then we cut back to our rat, and it's right back to the eternal circus that is Thanquol's life. It's hard to put into words how utterly horrifying.
Dead cat on hip? What the? That's messed up. What the
it is to be in one of his books if you aren't Thanquol. And the main antagonist of Grey Seer, because calling anyone but Thanquol the bad guy is woefully incorrect, proves this in many ways. There exists the Shadow Wizard in Altdorf known as Jeremiah.
Shadow Wizard, Pog?
A Scrivener. He's a secretive protector of Altdorf, with a vast range of contacts and underlings from all walks of life, be they criminal, city watchmen, and even some dwarfs. The dude's so intimidating that's like a ghost when he walks in a room. People he's near can't see him if he doesn't expressly allow them to.
That's same vibes. That's like kind of like me. When I just stroll up, people are just really intimidated by my presence. It's true.
They only feel a dark and foreboding presence. He makes the room he enters grow chill, ice starts creeping up on the mirrors, and of course, as a shadow wizard, he can manipulate shadows as he likes. The dude is so powerful that he semi-regularly astral projects to talk to Slann. He knows his stuff. And aside from being terrifying to the human characters of Grey Seer, the few times he's relatively open about what threats they face, he's talking about a threat that can completely destroy Altdorf. This unending tide of vermin beneath the city, led by a mastermind rat, hatching a plot that can destroy all of it. And worst of all, he's right, because the Skaven eventually decide to use the Wormstone to poison all of Altdorf's water supply in the most horrific way possible. The entire book for the human characters is an absolute nightmare, and as the human characters find various people afflicted by the Wormstone's plague, as well as encounter the Skaven, you can see just why people are utterly terrified of the Ratmen. Then we cut back to Thanquol, and it's just a sequence of him being an asshole, or a traitor, or both. He meets the ruler of Under Altdorf, who reveals he wants to become ruler of all Skavendom, whereupon Thanquol decides this treacherous act must be stopped. It should be Thanquol who uses the Wormstone to become powerful in the eyes of the Council of 13. Or
no, let him cook. Let him cook.
Even take it over himself. And then he does a line of Warpstone because the man's heavily addicted to it. He does.
Then he does a line of Warpstone. Okay.
Warp snuff sometimes too, which I'm pretty sure is just crack. I know Warpstone is already pretty similar to Coke, but Warp snuff is like that, but it doesn't boost your powers. Grey Seer is probably my least favorite of the three books, so I won't spend too much time on it, but please do not take that to mean it's any lesser of a read. That'd be like saying out of these 3 gold bars, this one's the smallest, so it's completely worthless. As the book progresses, Thanquol makes about 50 different alliances through begging, lying, promising to backstab someone else, and then actually backstabbing someone else before repeating. There is also, at one point, another Bone Ripper involved. This one has 3 arms and is supposedly the largest one yet. It dies, because of course it does. It does basically kill this monstrous clan pestilence diseased rat creature thing before it can get Thanquol though, which Thanquol does appreciate. In fact, the only things I think he ever has any semblance of positive, genuine emotions towards are his various rat ogres that he always immediately names Bone Ripper. Doesn't stop him from hitting them or berating them, of course, it just means that when they do something nice, he might actually seem appreciative. Eventually we come to a climactic battle where Thanquol is fighting his rival Skaven, who is incidentally Lord Skrulk, but even this early on, anyone who isn't Thanquol is completely tertiary to Thanquol and Thanquol's plans, respectively. All the Skaven involved are also fighting Jeremiah Scrivener and his ragtag army. Thanquol had dueled with him on several occasions throughout the book, and the entire time it was from the Shadowmancer's perspective, he's watching this rat counter almost every trick he has, where even though he mostly has the upper hand, the Grey Seer is clearly a dangerous foe. Then we cut back to Thanquol, and it's back to being a comedy. He's chewing on Warpstone both for the power and the comfort throughout the fight, and also whenever he's on Warpstone, as an aside, he briefly becomes even more of a megalomaniac before he reins himself in a bit. This manifests throughout the entire series, and in this case
Is it terrible that he'll say things and I'm like, yeah, that just sounds like him. That sounds like something he'll do, Lamau. Surely Bone Ripper 30 will last longer, surely. At least he has some kind of affection towards it. I was like, oh, that's kind of sweet. And then it's like, yeah, but he still berates them, Lamau. And it's like, oh, it was a fleeting moment, but we love it here.
Leads to him promising to kill Scrivener, Skrulk, all of Under Altdorf, all of Altdorf. If Thanquol is railing a line, he's ready to fight the entire planet. In this book, he's also the Skaven version of Batman, because he bought a bunch of good luck charms, magic scrolls, and magical amulets that maybe half of which are actually magical and he didn't just get scammed. He loses the final fight of the book, but he whips out a teleportation scroll and just dips. And the way the book ends truly, oh good lord is it funny. Thanquol teleports out with barely a clue where he is, and he's surrounded by cats for some reason. Obviously, not doing great after everything that had just happened.
Okay, I was gonna say, like, imagine being, like, the main character of the book, and then it's like, oh, just kidding, yeah, you're actually losing, and then you teleport out, and I was like, it can't get any worse, though. Teleports out, runs away, surrounded by cats. Well, alright then, okay.
But just then, some fat old lady comes in, sees him, and faints in terror. And I swear to you, I'm not just being mean when I say that. Thanquol calls her one of the plumpest examples of humans he's ever seen. The final sentences of the book are him trying to come up with a lie for the Council of 13 as to why he couldn't retrieve the Wormstone, and him praising the Horned Rat for gifting him such a bountiful meal in the form of that soon-to-be very dead old lady. Some fantasy books end with the hero rescuing the princess and saving the day. Others end with the promise of hope on the horizon, even if much work needs to be done to reach it. Warhammer fantasy books end with a rat man eating a fat lady after he does drugs. Best series by far. So Thanquol's doing a bit better now after that book. Not by too much, but he is doing better.
Yeah, he got better. Yeah, just a little bit. He just ate an old cat lady. It's kind of, yeah, I can't say I was expecting that. Cinema. That's something.
Manages to avoid being executed by the Lords of Decay, too, even if Clan Eshin's lords clearly had plans for him. He decides to take himself on a walk through Skavenblight, and even buys himself another Bone Ripper. All in all, he's doing pretty good. Yeah. Then a bunch of garbage Skaven assassins try to kill him, the real competent one tries to poison him, and then he tries to get Thanquol killed via Skaven Crowd Crush. It was funny because when he saw the 3 goober assassins walking towards him, he was in utter disbelief. He looked at them and was in complete shock at how bad they were at their job, approaching him wearing what looked like assassin garb and drawing knives. Then the actual assassins started fighting, and he understood what was happening then.
Okay.
Him and Bone Ripper number 4, I think we're on 4 now, drive off these assailants, and Thanquol scuttles away to the room he's renting. Then he gets jumped by Deathmaster Sniksh, who cuts down Bone Ripper in seconds and brings him to Night Lord Sneak, Grandmaster of Clan Eshin. Our absurd rat protagonist should by all reason and logic be dead, but for reasons I simply cannot comprehend, people keep trying to use Thanquol for some reason. His track record is noticeably failure after failure by this point, but if I had to guess, it's both because he makes an easy fall guy, and when you want a wizard on the cheap, threatening Thanquol is a good way to go about that.
Wow.
Thanquol is now involved in a Clan Eshin scheme to assassinate a prophet of Sotek, whose name I'm not even going to pretend to try and say. It's a red-crested skink, it isn't the goober you probably only know for having a bad Total Warhammer campaign, and he resides in a city only relatively recently being re-inhabited by the Lizardmen after Clan Pestilence made it all icky. For a brief cut into what the non-Skaven characters will be doing in this book, it is as follows. The human characters, and briefly an elf, are going through hell as they're marooned in Lustria and subjected to all the hells of this continent, fighting both the jungle itself and the lizardmen inside. For a Slann, the entire book...
What is this? Very textured though. Okay, anyway.
book was orchestrated by him as he tries to figure out if the cult of Sotek the Skinks have is actually a good thing or not, since the Slann really aren't sure on if Sotek is a good or a bad thing for the Great Plan. All the suffering of everyone involved in this book is the Slann's fault, because for some reason they can't determine if the god of their
Frog Wizards? Did I miss out on the Frog Wizards? It doesn't look familiar. Did they, like, very briefly mention it? Damn boy, you think. Slander Frog Priest for the old ones. Oh. I said, I don't remember. They're the greatest wizards in the world, and the Skaven took that personally. Sorry, Thankful took that personally, Lamau.
Opinions that despises the Skaven as a force for good or not. Anyways, back to the Rat Man. Thankful's immediately upset to find out he's not the one in charge of the expedition, and almost immediately after learning this, begins devising ways to get the true leaders killed. Naturally, none of these methods he comes up with are how it happens, because Thankful's an idiot. Once the Skaven themselves arrive in Lustria, they start scouting out how to find the Temple of the Serpent and Sotek's prophet. Of course, first a few dozen of them are eaten alive by sharks, but that's hardly worth mentioning. Oh no, a Skaven died. Grass is green and I need insulin. What a big reveal. What is worth mentioning is something that was brought up by the human and elf characters during one of the segments. In the southern tip of Lustria is a high elf settlement they briefly plan to escape to. In between them and that settlement lies the Vampire Coast. Now,
I want to learn about the vampires too. Sorry, I eventually I want to learn about them too.
For the humans, because by the time they do anything productive, the elf has been murdered by skinks, this is not an issue. For the Skaven and Thankful, this is an issue. Because throughout their bumbling in the swamps, they trip over a particular bit of swamp infested with zombies that start eating them. Thankful switches rapidly back and forth between cowardice and actually fighting before he's jumped by the same first Skaven assassin from earlier.
Okay.
This assassin is actually one of his underlings from Skaven Slayer who wanted revenge for Thankful getting him and his fellows killed in.
He wanted revenge for Thankful? Hello? Yeah, no, I heard about the vampire pirates. I want to learn about them so bad. I want to know everything about them. So eventually when we get through all the Skaven stuff, I'll go through, like, the vampires, and then there's... What was the other one that I liked? There was, like, three... I know the fourth class was... Oh, I forgot. There was 4 classes that I kind of liked. So once I get through a lot of Skaven stuff, we'll eventually do the vampires, and then the other races that I like. Oh, Tomb Kings, yeah, Tomb Kings. I keep forgetting the Skelly Boys, my bad. And then there was the, I don't remember the 4th one that I was like, maybe interesting. I forgot what it was.
Humiliated. And the thing is, this whole time, Thankful's putting in the work. He basically goes full red rage and brutalizes a bunch of zombies, and he manages to bash the assassin in the face and cause them to be dragged down by the zombies. Thankful, when he locks in, is apparently an incredibly deadly
Ain't no way he locks in. What the... Egyptian zombies? No, it was the, it was like the Chinese one, right? Because they had like dragons and stuff, and I was like, that's sick. That was like the 4th one that I was like, maybe interested in. Yeah, but so far it was Skaven, vampires, and then, I keep calling them Skelly Boys. I should really, Tomb Kings, the Tomb Kings.
Melee combatant. He also has one of my favorite moments ever. When the assassin jumped him in the swamp, he has a brief moment of contemplation afterwards and goes, wait a minute, I know exactly who the assassin is and who's trying to kill me, and then proceeds to blame entirely the wrong Skaven for this. He goes insane in Melee again, too, as everyone...
Yeah, the cafe, yeah, they seemed cool. So I keep forgetting their names, I'm so sorry.
Gets to the Temple of Sotek over the story's course, there's naturally both lizardmen and spawning pools to make more of them. Then Cole eventually captures the human characters to allow him entrance into the temple, because he needs a human to destroy the anti-Skaven wards around it. They get in and discover that there's a massive, sacred snake at the center of the temple. Thankful ends up being vaguely involved in getting the other Skaven killed, because while as Skaven they can plan backstabs with the best of them, Thankful might as well have the divine protection from the horned rat, and no one can really hurt him. Eventually it comes down to Thankful and one of the humans who had been forced into the temple by Thankful. He saw the human surrounded by lizardmen, realized he was going to be next if the human died, and went utterly ballistic. He slaughtered dozens of skinks in melee combat while Bone Ripper was fighting a Croxagore. There's a new Bone Ripper, by the way. It was a rat ogre one of the previous leaders owned.
Bone Ripper number 5, Sedge.
Until Thanquol decided it was his now. There was a lot of threatening and blackmail involved. I wouldn't worry about the specifics of how he acquired this one. It's not long for the world. Once that was dealt with, Thanquol and the human began searching for another human, because Thanquol knew he needed the first human as insurance, and so did the human in question. They eventually find said captured human, and
so they relied on each other to, like, take the fall? Interesting. Ruled by dragon. Yeah, the terracotta things were. That's what really got me into it. I was like, those are interesting. So eventually we'll go through all of that, but we have a lot to get through.
Thanquol immediately makes a break for it. The human he was with shoots the Prophet of Sotek because the skink was about to do that Indiana Jones rip your heart out of your chest move on his kind of girlfriend, and Thanquol just booked it. The human he was traveling with and his kind of girlfriend go do their own thing. Does not end well, spoiler alert. But Thanquol and Bone Ripper, oh, this pair isn't done, because they begin tracking the assassin who had survived the zombie mud pit back to the ship that carried them there. Surprisingly, they track him back to the ship, and not only did the assassin not sail away already, but he was already dead. On the downside, though, he was dead because those zombies from earlier boarded the ship and killed the assassin. Thanquol and Bone Ripper go ham for a bit once again before Thanquol realizes, uh-oh, I'm using warp fire magic, and one of those zombies he cooked had just fallen into the ammunition storage of the ship. So Thanquol dives off the ship onto a raft into the water, and it takes just long enough for him to feel stupid about doing so before the powder storage goes off and the entire ship blows up. Thanquol survives if a bit shaken up, and Bone Ripper actually makes it out as well. The red ogre claws his way on.
The Bone Ripper makes it pog! Okay, sorry.
To the raft Thanquol's on, to which Thanquol in his mind starts calling Bone Ripper a useless idiot for daring to claw his way to safety near his master. And then, much like the Grinch, Thanquol got an idea. A terrible, awful idea.
See, this is why you shouldn't think. You shouldn't think even once. See, he has an idea, and I'm already afraid.
The raft Thanquol was on had water, but not much food. Bone Ripper number whatever we're on was basically dead and already at least a little bit cooked. So the last we see of Thanquol's point of view in this book is him once again thanking the horned rat for providing him food as he proceeds to begin getting ready to eat his pet. This is...
No. No! Why? Why? We were just beginning to be friends. What? No. What else would they could laugh track? He's like, thank you. You have provided me food. It is my friend and someone who kind of got a little exploded due to something I've done, but yeah, he can't keep getting away with this.
Now the second book in a row where Thanquol's finished it by eating a living creature. The rest of this book is full of amazing little moments too. Like I mentioned earlier, Thanquol didn't buy or was gifted this Bone Ripper like he normally was. It was initially a bodyguard for one of the other Skaven leaders of the expedition. Thanquol spends a lot of time up to a certain point complaining that a real Skaven wizard doesn't need something as pathetic as a rat ogre bodyguard to be safe and look tough. But then the singular moment he gets to be in charge, he immediately commandeers the rat ogre and renames it Bone Ripper.
I was gonna say, there's no way after having all the Bone Rippers that he's like, yeah, I don't need a big guy to protect me when he's literally done it the entire time. Oh, Thanquol. You silly little guy.
This kind of thing is constant, too. He will regularly lambaste other people for things he says are wrong and he dislikes, but then nanosecond things go in his favor, everything he complains about is suddenly perfectly valid. The concept of shame has never entered Thanquol's mind, and I'm glad. I don't want him to ever feel shame. If he felt shame, I'm pretty sure he'd melt. The pinnacle, though, isn't from Thanquol's point of view. It's from the Slann who started this mess. At least some Slann view the world as mathematical equations. Magic, the people living in it, all part of one big mathematical equations of the old ones. This Slann in particular calls the various humans and rats low-variation fractals. They can change things and be a bit random, but you can figure them out for the most part pretty easily. Much like the rest of the Slann and Lizardmen, he also hates rats. Even more so than demons, they despise the Skaven. And at the end of the book, the Slann has Thanquol completely at his mercy without Thanquol ever knowing. As Thanquol was sailing away, he could have done any number of things to sink and kill him, but he concluded that leaving Thanquol alive would cause more harm to the Skaven than it would bring everyone else benefit to kill him. The Slann seeing the world as math just makes it so much more perfect. It literally did the math, consulted all the formulas, and the end result of the magical calculation was Thanquol equals more dead rats.
Shocker. Shocker, really. Thanquol equals more dead rats?
I don't know if I should feel good about myself or not after reading that, genuinely. Because if you ever want to feel confident, know that you surely aren't as pathetic and harmful to those around you that someone who considers you worse than demons would let you live. But on the other hand, that's one hell of an accomplishment. Imagine Doom Guy leaving a demon alive because it'll kill so many more demons alive than the one dead demon you get by killing it. That's legitimately impressive.
Yeah,
That's a
it is
level
pretty
of
impressive.
shit that no one can hope to aspire to.
Thankful's Doom. Oh no. Chat, does he make it? I'm just kidding. This is not good. We have taken a turn for the worse. Well, then again, do we really want to keep Thankful? Because he kind of is a butt nugget. You know what I mean?
So Thankful's Doom is already off to a good start because it begins with the Slan from before talking to the Shadowmancer from the first book about how Thankful is going to be a huge problem for a dwarf hold the wizard has an agent in. On the end of the dwarfs of this book is a mad dash to stop the Skaven invasion of the hold. A rather radical dwarf who's a pretty chill dude with respect for progress and tradition invents automatic machine gun turrets because we're going full steampunk this book, and it's overall good stuff, but we aren't here for them. We're here for the clown, and by God is Thankful on form from the get-go. It begins with him washing ashore into a real shithole of a settlement even by Skaven standards, but one under the thrall of a greater clan, so he can't just start evaporating people. He bullies himself into being in charge, kind of. He tries to secure passage out on a boat, kind of succeeds. Then the local Skaven warlord decides it'd be a good idea to jump Thankful. Now at first, it's portrayed as a bit of a predicament, with a whole lot of rats ready to rob and kill our boy. Then the Skaven warlord makes a crucial mistake, because Thankful is a PTSD-ridden little goober. The Skaven in charge rubs his thumb along his weapon's edge and draws a little bit of blood. It's a nothing action. It's at most a little idle tick the Skaven warlord apparently has. Unfortunately, another character who does the same thing before a fight is, of course, Gotrek Gurdison, and Thankful very well remembers it, so he freaks out and evaporates the dude on the spot with magic. Some dwarf slaves break free, Thankful starts braining people with his staff, the slaves start killing Skaven, Thankful commandeers his new boat and heads to Skaven Blight. Now, have you ever read, like, poorly written fan fiction or something where the author's self-insert character meets
Yeah, Twilight. Anyway.
all the established ones, and everyone loves them because of Mary Sue stuff? Well, Thankful is kind of like the inverse of that. He meets plenty of big-name Skaven characters. He's been around the block. He met Lord Skrulk in his first book, who tried to kill him. He met Deathmaster Snikch, who very easily could have killed him and only didn't do so because Clan Eshin could use him for their goals. And shortly into Thankful's doom, we start meeting more characters. Thankful has learned by this point from the various attempts on his life, and once he's reacquired himself a bunch of new minions and bodyguards, he starts taking various back alleyways to get to where he's going. I can't fault him for his caution. Legitimately, Thankful can be dangerously intelligent sometimes. It's like he's the uncanny valley of intelligence. If he were even the least bit smarter, he'd be the single most dangerous being in existence.
Yeah, imagine Thankful actually being smart about actions, Lamau. Would you intend to be down to either stream or make a video series out of a co-op Total Warhammer 3 campaign if you like strategy games? I would probably be terrible at it. I'm terrible at board games and keeping information, so probably not on my end, but maybe Tetra would? I'm not sure. It would be cool, but we're also kind of a little occupied with baby. Otherwise, I'm saying together would be kind of awesome, but at this point in time, I don't think I'd be able to do it. But thank you for the super chat. Thank you.
Distance. Archaon wouldn't be the Ever-Chosen, it'd be this rat. But he's missing those last few IQ points to clear the valley, so he slides back down into being the world's biggest idiot. Anyways, the alley plan doesn't work. Snick shows up and kills all his servants, and tells him to say nothing about his involvement in killing the Prophet of Sotek. And God bless his little rat soul, in this moment Thankful was just utterly confused. Not even in a how can I spin this to my advantage and get out alive kind of way. He was just genuinely unable to understand why this should be kept a secret. He even says the words almost verbatim, but I did kill the Prophet of Sotek, because like I said, we couldn't clear the uncanny idiot valley, so Thankful really hit Snikch with, but I did have breakfast today. When Snikch leaves, Thankful's bodyguards are all dead, and it turns out his servants actually lived. They just stole all his belongings during the fighting and dipped, and then he gets kidnapped again. Back to the Council of 13, back to being used by them for their own purposes. He was already being strong-armed by some other Skaven into assisting them assault the dwarf hold I'd mentioned earlier, and now...
You know, I'm kind of shocked through all of this that he wasn't, like, deleted by other Skaven. It's just kind of like he's making it through, makes poor decisions, and then just kind of survives.
Now the Council of 13 is telling him to keep doing that, but for their own schemes. And then, the party gets ambushed during transit to the hold, where Thanquol bravely trips a clan rat over and uses him as a human shield. He decides that won't actually work because the weapons firing at them are blowing cannonball-sized holes in Skaven, so he pushes the other rat forward and then scurries away. Turns out this latest ambush was orchestrated by none other than Claw himself, who showed up with rats wearing power armor. Thanquol does at least get an inverse Caiaphas Cain moment. He scurries back out of hiding, and all the assembled rats, even the scryer ambushers, look at him with awe and a little bit of dread. In his mind, it's because he thinks his legend has grown so much that all who see him bow in subservience. In actuality, it's because the scryer rats thought they lit him on fire, and it appeared like he just shrugged off their warp fire throwers. Neither of these things are true, but all of reality conspires to keep Thanquol around, so it's best to just roll with it. Thanquol immediately begins trying to showboat, only to be shut down at every turn. The Skaven earlier had at least given him a, quote, gift bribe in the form of the first Bone Ripper resurrected with the Scryer technology, which he naturally once again calls Bone Ripper. Thanquol, after the ambush, tried to pretend he told
Another Bone Ripper? Bone Ripper number 6, let's go!
Bone Ripper to not harm the scryer rats, only for Claw to laugh and tell him this one has a shutdown valve that prevents it from hurting any members of Clan Scryer. Thanquol then proceeds to look increasingly stupid as he keeps trying to see what Claw had hidden under a tarp.
He looks increasingly stupid. Wow, that kind of sucks for Thanquol. Okay, rip.
Turns out this was the beginning of a Doomsphere, aka a Skaven nuke. It didn't work due to dwarf sabotage, but Claw nearly blew up the entirety of both Skavendom and the dwarf holds for no other reason than he wanted to prove he could build the biggest bomb ever. To those of you who are about to say that's a very 40k orky thing to do, no, it is not. Orcs are very Skaven-y sometimes, is what that is. Now, I'm gonna jump to the end here for the most part, because as much as Thanquol is great in all of this book, it's more of what I've been talking about. But the ending is truly Thanquol at his best.
Okay.
Over the course of the book, a mummified paw of a terrible Skaven lord was found that could boost one's magical power, connection to the horned rat, and even summon a vermin lord. Thanquol, of course, gets his paws on this paw, and eventually it's used to summon a vermin lord into the mortal world. Or at least, he wanted to use it to do that. Thanquol, when he first got it, immediately felt something was off with it. Another Grey Seer he'd been forced to travel with used it to try and kill him, and Thanquol noted it made him even more insane than a Grey Seer having a power trip normally is. If Thanquol...
It got worse? Didn't really factor in BB needing at least one of y'all, but if it helps your confidence, Warhammer 3 is in a board game. It's closer to Civilization games where you build cities and armies. Maybe Tetra would, maybe. Thank you again for the super chat. I'm sorry. I'm trying to just go through this, but I'm terrible at games, so it's probably even less of a chance of me playing that then. But maybe Tetra. I'll ask her about it because she does play the Warhammer games, so there's more of a chance. But I'm terrible at games, so I would lose it in about 4 seconds, and then I would probably never touch it again. I'm so sorry.
Noticing you've gone crazy, something is terribly wrong with whatever is doing that to you. So he mostly just stored it in his pocket and used it to make threats. Moving to the end of the book, Thanquol has ended up coming into contact with the Clan Moor's army led by Queek Headtaker, because at this point the Thanquol books are all an excuse to have well-known Skaven characters try to beat the shit out of our boy. Queek tries to kill him, and at one point when Thanquol says that's rat heresy, he tells Thanquol that Queek has given many heads, and so the horned rat won't mind him killing just one Grey Seer, which is both cool and terrifying to Thanquol. As Queek and Clan Moors begin assaulting the dwarf hold of the book one more time, Thanquol realizes he's almost certainly screwed between the dwarfs and Queek actively trying to kill him, so he uses the mummified Skaven paw to bring forth an ancient vermin lord born of the powerful seer of legend. Except it was a little bit tampered with. It summoned a greater demon alright, but instead of a vermin lord, it summoned motherfucking Scarbrand. Queek immediately runs away and gets—
Wait, is this supposed to be like an important character? Because I'm like, wow, he didn't summon this little guy, this guy. And I'm gonna rewind a little bit because I feel like I got a little lost.
So he uses the mummified Skaven paw to bring forth an ancient vermin lord born of the powerful seer of legend. Except it was a little bit tampered with. It summoned a greater demon alright, but instead of a vermin lord, it summoned motherfucking Scarbrand.
Yeah, so Scar, I'm assuming, is worse / scarier. That is the Corn Demon. Oh, it's the most powerful bloodthirster of Khorne ever. Someone named Greater Demon of Khorne instead of generic Greater Demon of Skaven. How do you mess up that bad? Yeah, I was gonna summon a little guy, but whoops, did an SpaghettiOs and summon this guy instead. No big deal. No big deal, guys. Don't worry about it. Okay.
Queek immediately runs away and gains an even greater hatred of Grey Seers than he already had, and Skarbrand just starts axing people left and right. The dwarfs and remaining Skaven go insane until the main dwarf character of the book can drop a statue of Elia on Skarbrand's head, and even then Skarbrand still has time before his total banishment to basically tell Thanquol to give him a call whenever he wants. Skarbrand gave Thanquol a murderous booty call to reiterate that sentence. The book ends with
murderous booty call. Okay. Words I didn't think were going to be strung together.
Thanquol skittering away once again, offering prayers to both the Horned Rat and Khorne himself just to cover all his bases. But not before he blasted the dwarf who killed Skarbrand with magic to make himself feel better about the entire mess. And hey, on the bright side for something in these books, the rebuilt Bone Ripper lived. And since it was the reanimated corpse of the first one ever, technically this removes one dead Bone Ripper from the tally.
Okay, Poggers, I know someone mentioned before it was the reanimated version of number 1, so the first Bone Ripper lived. Let's go, Poggers!
Progress.
Thanquol goes swimming, plus the end times, plus Age of Sigmar. Okay.
Thanquol would go on to do his normal thing from here, of falling almost completely from grace only to somehow claw his way back to being entrusted with entire armies and stashes of wealth. How he does this, no one knows. He's simply too garbage to actually fail, because it loops around into him being unstoppable. In the Gotrek and Felix novel Elfslayer, Thanquol decided he was done living in fear of the dynamic duo. So he tortured Felix's dad and information as to where he was and then killed him. Then he started sending waves of Skaven assassins after Gotrek.
I should be shocked that they, like, capture people and hurt them, but it gets me every time. It gets me every time.
And Felix. The latter thing was unsuccessful, as you could no doubt guess, but the former resulted in Felix eventually taking on almost dwarf levels of vengeance seeking against our rat boy. Thanquol hatched another plan, however. Learning that the duo was mucking about in the swamps of Marienburg, he managed to have them captured and brought aboard a Skaven submarine. Don't ask about that. The Skaven has submarines, I guess.
I'm asking about the Skaven submarine. Hello?
He finally has our heroes tied up, and does he revel in it. He starts bragging about all the torture he's going to inflict on them, how he's going to make them suffer as they made him suffer, 20 years of indignation at their hands and their hands alone. To Thanquol, this duel was ultimately responsible for every single thing that went wrong in his life, be that directly or as a result of them foiling prior plans of his. And right as he's really getting into it, Felix asks Thanquol who he is. And in that moment...
I'm sorry, what? You have been my downfall. You are the reason I have failed at everything. The opponent, who are you, he literally got a megalold. That is so painful. Oh, that hurts me. Yeah, that is emotional damage. He got a megalold. Imagine going on this huge speech. You have been my downfall. You are the reason why I'm failing at life. How dare you? I have been fighting forever. And they're just like, who are you, Lamau? Same vibes as the worst you could say is no. Oh God. Now I feel a little bad.
You could hear the world come to a halt. You could hear the singular gear in Thanquol's brain screech to a stop as he tried to process what's going on. It was as if he couldn't decide if he heard Felix correctly, or if all the warpstone and warp snuff he'd taken over the years was finally taking its toll on his health. And then Felix double-checked with Gotrek to see if the dwarf knew who Thanquol was, only for Gotrek to respond with, "They all look the same to me, manling." And in that moment, Thanquol broke. Not for long, because you can't keep him down, but he simply did not know how to process the fact that his most hated enemies, who to him were constantly foiling his schemes to spite him, had no idea who he was, and every time they did so, it was basically just a random encounter. The rest of him in that book is him zoning in on trying to capture the artifact Gotrek, Felix, and the other characters of the book were searching for, which not only fails, but the submarine sinks, Gotrek and Felix get away, and Thanquol has to survive the ocean's currents once more. He failed to kill his nemesis because he got greedy, but that was fine. This was just one more setback on Thanquol's inevitable rise to power. He may have lost a hand in the process, but between his magical amulet that regenerates wounds that he just has on him and his own power, even that was just a temporary problem. And out of
quickest ego in the history of Skaven, poor Thanquol. Yeah, I mean, he was a butt nugget, but he didn't deserve that. They were just like, "You're my rival," and they were like, who? That is so sad. I'm so sorry. They were the super chat biotech.
Of all the end times lore there is, this goofball was one of the few who came out on top during it. Thanquol was apparently part of the Skaven forces that destroyed Tylea, and shockingly did well enough or took enough credit from others that he was able to reach the height of his wealth and political power. Seer Lord Kritislisk, fucking I don't know how to say that man's name. Seer Lord Kritislisk, meanwhile, was accused of being a real goober by pretty much every Skaven of any worth. And then the Horned Rat himself showed up in the mortal world and ate the Seer Lord.
Oh.
The Skaven then unify, if only out of fear of also being eaten, and thankful for his part gets to finally invade and conquer the city of Nuln as he once did all those years ago. And then finally we were given our proof. Proof that the Divine truly do smile upon Thanquol, if only because they find him incredibly funny. Because as the new replacement Seer Lord, the most influential Skaven there is, the Horned Rat looked at every Grey Seer possible and then found Thanquol. And lo did the Horned Rat look at our man and say, You are my top guy. You are the funny one who will bring my word to the world. And then...
Is he the funny guy because he failed so often? I mean, I guess it's good in a way so he doesn't get, like, eaten or whatever. But, like, it's like, you are funny, little rat man. You make me laugh. You're my favorite.
Thanquol was the new Seer Lord. The Vermin Lord Screech Vermin King gives Thanquol a new and improved Bone Ripper. Thanquol forges the...
He got a new Bone Ripper Pog! That's what you get for getting the favorite. Now to like number 7, even though the first one's still technically alive. Let's go!
Gave an alliance with Archaon and Chaos, and as the end times reach their zenith, Thanquol alongside his god helps drag Skavenblight into the warp. He did it. He became the Skaven of all time. Now, in Age of Sigmar, we didn't have word on Thanquol for a bit. But what we did have, eventually, was word of a mysterious figure of power and influence, a being known only as the Grey Lord who demanded fear and obedience from his underlings. When we first learn of this being, we're told of a character commanding some pretty powerful people, and surely only a figure of true might could command such respect, and shit, it's Thanquol, isn't it? It's gonna be Thanquol. Thanquol nearly destroyed the city of Hammerhall, which is one of the most important cities for the forces of Order in Age of Sigmar. It seems he's finally become the feared and renowned Skaven leader he was always meant to be here. But the flip side of Thanquol being blessed to never die is that he's cursed to never actually win in the end, because just as he made it to AOS, so too did none other than Gotrek Gurnison.
Immortal, but he can't win. Sad, sad times.
Himself. No Felix, but the dwarf has come back with a vengeance, and now he sees Thanquol as a proper enemy. Thanquol has the freakout to end all freakouts as he learns Gotrek survives, and an uncountable number of years' worth of PTSD crashes onto him all at once, and orders the dwarf to be killed immediately. The two clash in the book Blood of the Old World over a realm gate that leads to Warhammer Fantasy, and while Gotrek gets a tearful goodbye with Felix through the rubble and the portal, Thanquol does what he does best and runs the hell away. Now he plots and schemes anew, waiting to once again try and achieve total dominance over all there is. Also, he saved all of Skavenblight from drowning in AOS.
Oh.
He ran away afterwards, though, not only because he was afraid other Skaven figures would have him killed for his success, not only because his plans killed so many Skaven that even the other rat men thought it was excessive, but also because he might have had a part in Skavenblight being flooded to begin with. And also there were zombies as part of the flood. There goes my hero.
Do or don't Thanquol. Uh-oh.
For lore positives of Thanquol, all of them. He is the Skaven. If you like Skaven, you should like Thanquol.
He is him. Okay, chat? He is him.
There's nothing else to be said here. If you as a Skaven player somehow don't like Thanquol, you need to forfeit your Skaven army immediately. Horned Rat casts 10,000 curses of brain explode upon you. But beyond that, if you want an army that will always destroy the enemy, you want Thanquol leading your army. Let's say you somehow play the worst game of Warhammer ever conceived. You don't destroy a single enemy model and get tabled turn 3. Doesn't matter. The aftermath of your tabletop match's lore will be something Thanquol had planned going horribly wrong in a way that causes all of his enemies to simultaneously go insane and then blow up. Thanquol getting a victory isn't the thing you have to worry about. It's how he loses that's gonna bring low your enemies. Although, of course, a loss.
Wait, making a guess. Does he lose by exploding himself? Because that'd be funny. He is him, he has been him, he will continue to be him. Real.
For Thanquol isn't truly a loss. It's just one more setback on the road to endless glory. Know in your heart that when Thanquol has been deployed to the field of battle, he can never truly lose. He simply postpones victory a little while longer. Even if his model is destroyed, it's fine. It's simply one more Bone Ripper to add to the pile as he scurries away. For rules positives and current AOS...
Wait, see, this is what I like learning about. Okay, Staff of the Horned Rat. This is Thanquol on Bone Ripper. Thanquol's monstrous rat ogre Bone Ripper pulverizes enemies that are there straight too close. Roll a die on a 3 to 5. Mortal damage on a 6 and what? It doesn't miss if it's a 1. Where's Thurman Green? Warpstone Amulet. Meld. Oh, he could heal too. Okay. So to craft it from scrap thief from the horn rat's lair, thankful staff thrums with malignant potency. Add 1 to crafting rolls for this unit. He can inflict madness. Visible enemy unit within 13 inches of this unit to be the target, then make a casting roll of 2d6. Okay. So, but is there a roll where he can run away? No, I'd rather not be thankful. What? You have to use thankful. Those are the rules. You like Skaven, you have to like thankful. Those are literally the rules. Literally the rules. No women want him, but all men want to be him. Lamau. Okay, so work for Brazier's companion. Okay, so it seems. I don't really know much about it, but he seems pretty good. There's no. I'm waiting to like read the thing where it's like, oh, if you roll a 4, he just explodes. My bad. I was waiting for it, but nothing. Oh no, I like Thankful, but I want to be him. What do you mean? Yeah, the greatest. Yeah, you want to be rat failure? Come on.
4th edition, Thankful has 8 inches of movement, 14 health, 5 control, and a 4-up save, as well as a 5-up ward save. Surprisingly tanky, even by non-Skaven standards. He's only a power level 2 wizard, which he no doubt finds incredibly insulting, but he rides forth on Bone Ripper to make up for these flaws. Bone Ripper's able to brutalize enemies quite alright. His warp fire projectors are a nice way to get some ranged damage in on an enemy closing in, fairly reliably hitting and being quite reliable at wounding. His fists are a bit less accurate, but wound just as easily and deal 3 damage a pop, while Thankful hitting you in the face with his magic staff is definitely less reliable, but potentially just as deadly with D3 damage. He's gone berserk in melee throughout his stories, remember. Just because he's now old as hell doesn't mean he's any less deadly. As for his special abilities, his staff gives him +1 to casting rolls. Nothing flashy, but always an ability you love to see. He has an inbuilt spell that makes enemies unable to use commands and start beating each other to death to deal damage, and since it's flavored as him causing madness, I choose to believe it's his enemies realizing they're facing the mortal realm's most destructive moron and going insane over that. Once per turn during a combat phase, he can inflict anywhere from a D3 to 2d3 mortal damage on a target he's currently fighting, and at the end of a turn, he gets to heal D3 wounds. That first one lets Bone Ripper smash damn near anything he's in melee with into...
At the end of any turn, he gets to heal. That's kind of crazy. This should be if he ever gets defeated, there should be a chance to run away. I'm just saying, that would be hilarious.
Paste, and the last one is just free healing. There's never a time you won't appreciate free healing. For lore downsides, nah, I ain't doing that today. You get no lore downsides with Thankful from me. I love him too much. As we've already determined, if he loses, it doesn't count, and if you kill him, you only killed Bone Ripper.
Loses, it doesn't count. See? This is a rat after my own heart. Yeah, I may have lost, but you only defeated my Bone Ripper. It's not me, Lamau. Yeah, and there's no lore downside. We love our funky little rat boy.
Number 40,000. Any further potential downsides you can think of for Thankful, such as your army being led by a massive coward who regularly gets his own underlings killed, is propaganda slander by the most vile of treacherous minions and rivals. Yes. As for tabletop downsides, he is definitely a bit pricey at 360 points. You get a wizard who can kick ass in melee and regenerate for the cost, so I'd say you're definitely getting your money's worth, but just beware that if he goes down, nearly a quarter of a 2k point army is going with him. This next one, meanwhile, is more of a piece of advice than a downside, but I wouldn't recommend charging him headfirst into the center of your enemy's army just because he can kick ass. A D3 of healing and a decent save only counts for so much when everyone looks at him and begins beating his ass. On a semi-related note, as a big old monster unit, he can also be vulnerable to being tar-pitted, so try and make sure he doesn't spend the entire match failing to finish off a bunch of goblins or something like that. You'll feel very silly after that happens. He loses attacks as he takes wounds as well, but that's pretty standard for monstrous units in Warhammer. Just something to be aware of. And that was Grey Seer Thankful. Amongst the Skaven, none shine brighter than he, because for miles around, the world can see his screw-up shining as bright as a star. Thank you as always to my wonderful channel members.
He makes my scuff look good.
My Thankful, providing me invaluable support no matter how much I hate you.
It makes my scuff look amazing.
If you'd like to support the channel, feel free to subscribe or become a member. Either way, thank you for watching, and take care out there.
I'm waiting to see if there's after credit stuff, because I feel like he usually does. Waiting for it. Waiting. Bum, bum, bum. Time he wins his win rate is 100% from that point on. It loses a win rate reset. It is, though. That's literally what it is. Yeah, like, oh, you defeat him? Not really. It's just saying, he's funny little minion, Lamau. No ending? No little
Bone Ripper, whack smack this guy thing's nutballs.
What? That was... Dang, okay. Alright, that was pretty good. That was... Hi, Rom, you came in at the perfect timing. I was like, there's no after credit thing, and then there is. Yeah, that was a little tee-hee ha-ha funny. Alright, well that was great. I love our little rat guy. Our rat guy's so cute. Got him like 2 minutes ago. Oh my god, good timing. We still have 2 videos. These are really long videos though, so I have like a 22-minute one and a 24-minute one, and we're already an hour and a half into stream, so this is kind of people sweating a little bit, but we gotta go through it. We gotta do it. Okay, so now we're gonna switch it up a little bit today. So we just learned about rat stuff, but now, today, we're learning about serial killers that are still on loose today. I'm gonna give the forewarning. I watch a lot of like murdery stuff, like I guess crime things. Honestly, a really popular one I watch is like Coffee House Crime, because it's scary and it's terrifying, and I listen to it and I'm like, oh, that's yeah, true crime, and it's gonna be a little funky. I feel like most of my reactions are gonna be, wow, frick this guy, or like, this is why I don't leave my house. Yeah, Coffee House is great. Dang, 2 months already, crazy. Happy 2 months, Biotech. Thank you. Look at you being a cute little Scuffarius. Oh my goodness. Thank you. I appreciate it. But yeah, so this is gonna be a little funky. It's gonna be something new. Mostly I listen to it when I'm like doing other things. I haven't really had a chance to do it. I also haven't heard of this channel before. Trying to see who it was, I'm not sure. But can't wait to stumble about. I understood that reference. If I've heard of it before, I'll obviously say it because I do watch a lot of them. Like I've watched a lot of like Mr. Ballin as well. So if it pops up, I'd be like, oh, I heard this story. But most of the times when I hear it, I do forget about it a lot because haha, brain go burr. So I might forget. I'd be like, oh, I've heard this one, but I don't remember. So it's not that I pre-watched it. It's just that my brain is tee-hee ha-ha funny. And with that, we will begin, because what's scarier than humans? Humans that delete others and hurt others, and they're still out in the wild today. Woohoo! Yeah, definite trigger warning for those who get in the ick about humans being vile to humans. Yeah, like if it's not your cup of tea, I totally understand. Totally understand if you have to like step away or mute for a while because you just want to still support. Totally understand. And with that, we begin.
Vending machine killer. On April 30th, 1985, a 45-year-old truck driver stopped near a vending machine in Fukuoka.
You can't see it. Okay, so it started the audio already. Lamouse, here's the scuff for the day, chat. It's terrible already. It said vending machine killer, and I was like, oh my god, vending machines are hurting people. But I digress.
Vending machine killer. On April 30th, 1985, a 45-year-old truck driver stopped near a vending machine in Fukuyama, Japan. He was exhausted from work and was looking for an energy drink to help him power through the rest of the day.
Yeah, vending machine killer sounds like an isekai. It does. Having 2 months with them. Thank you for rejoining as Scuffarius. Yeah, Scuffarius strikes again. I was like, there's no scuff this stream, Lamau psych.
When he approached the vending machine, however, he noticed something surprising. A bottle of Oranaminsi energy drink was already in the pickup tray. Thinking he'd lucked down on a free drink, the truck driver wasted no time chugging it down. What he didn't know was that this would be the last drink he would ever taste. Instead of the refreshing feeling he was looking for, he felt something horribly wrong with his body. A bitter, burning sensation quickly spread throughout his throat.
Okay, to be fair though, if I saw something, I'd be like, Poggies, they left their drink, but now, okay. Reason number 472 to be afraid of anything, okay.
Followed by an intense wave of nausea. It wasn't long before he was lying on the road in excruciating pain. He was rushed to a nearby hospital where doctors discovered a lethal amount of paraquat dichloride in his system.
I don't know what that is.
Paraquat is an herbicide that was quite common in Japan at the time. More importantly, it's also highly toxic to humans. When ingested, it can lead to severe nausea, throat inflammation, internal chemical burns, and eventually death. This is also why it's been banned completely from over 70 countries to date.
I mean, that would make a lot of sense, yeah. Yeah, a little bit, yeah. Pesticide, Gotta make sure those drinks are sealed. Yeah, I'm always paranoid when, like, I try and open things and I'm like, is this properly sealed or am I losing it? This would not stop me from drinking a free soda. Do not drink the free sodas. Please learn from this.
Unfortunately, despite knowing the reason for his illness, there was nothing the doctors could do to save his life. There's no antidote for the deadly chemical today, let alone back then. So, after hanging on to his life from—
There's no antidote today? Okay, well that sucks.
A month, the truck driver passed away on the 30th of May, 1985. At first, investigators assumed that given the nature of his work, he might have accidentally encountered the toxic substance while on duty. However, after reviewing his haul records, they found no trace of this herbicide or anything remotely linked to it. This left them with only one conclusion: the chemical was mixed into the drink he consumed just moments before collapsing in agony. But with no leads or concrete evidence, they couldn't determine whether it was a murder or self-inflicted act, resulting in the case getting shelved for the time being. Now, while this might sound absurd today, you have to understand that paraquat was readily available in the country at the time. You didn't need any prescription or identification to purchase the chemical, leading to over 1,400 people using it as the poison of their choice in 1984 alone.
I was gonna say, I'm not shocked that it was available because it's a pesticide, right? I mean, I understand it's really, really dangerous, but I feel like, don't they sell like rat traps and there's bleach and stuff? So there's like there's a bunch of things that you could just kind of buy without needing any information. Yeah, yeah, and it's popular, so ugh.
In other words, the possibility of it being self-inflicted was just as high. However, just as the investigators were about to give up on this case completely, they received tragic news. Another person had fallen victim to the same poison after consuming Oronaminsi on the 5th of September. Then—
Random question, why this random drink? Because you think you're supposed to get energy from it?
Another 6 days later, and one more 2 weeks after that. By this point, it was clear that someone was deliberately poisoning vending machine drinks across Japan.
You know what? Good point. Yeah, it gives you incredibly painful internal chemical burns prior to death. Why would you choose that? Yeah, honestly, why didn't they pick up on that? That seems kind of silly, especially from like a drink. Didn't they have the drink? Maybe I guess they didn't know it was from the specific drink.
This was the work of a deranged serial killer. Unfortunately, this supposed killer was also extremely thorough. He didn't leave any fingerprint or DNA evidence on the drinks he tampered with, and only targeted vending machines with no CCTV cameras nearby. As for why his victims willingly drank the unknowingly poisoned drinks he left behind, that had to do with the buy one get one free promotion Oronaminsi was running around the time to entice younger consumers.
Oh, I was gonna say, I wonder if the serial killer worked for like the company or something and was like burned, so he was using it to like shame the company. But if it's buy one get one free, that kind of checks out. Then I was gonna make a little theory. Happy 2 months apocalypse. Oh boy, look, a free energy drink on the floor. No, bad, very bad. Do not make sure it's sealed. Is your friendly reminder. Make sure it's sealed.
However, since some people only wanted the one drink, they often left the second free drink near the vending machine as a gift for the next person. This was common enough that people didn't find the laced drinks suspicious and drank them without a second thought. Sadly, this method was terribly effective. By the end of the year, this mysterious vending machine killer had claimed the lives of 12 victims and had severely injured 35 more. But as I mentioned earlier, this killer was a master of hiding his tracks.
Also, they didn't think to like tell the media about it, like, hey, don't accept drinks, there's something happening, like make sure it's sealed. Or I guess there's ways you could kind of figure it out and it still looks sealed. Weaponizing other people's goodwill, yeah. That's why you don't accept anything free.
He operated all across Western and Central Japan, as well as Tokyo, making it near impossible for investigators to pinpoint his location. The lack of evidence also made it difficult to figure out his motive. Some speculated that he was doing all this to extort money from Otsuka Pharmaceutical, the company that made Oronaminsi. This is because in 1984, a group called the Mystery Men with 21 Faces threatened to poison food products unless the companies paid them money. So some believed that the vending machine killer was a copycat and wanted something similar. However, this theory didn't last very long because Otsuka Pharmaceutical didn't receive any demands or extortion letters from the perpetrator. Additionally, the killer also began using other drinks, like the drink Real Gold and even Coca-Cola.
Okay, so my theory of he had beef with the company is out the window, okay? Because now he's using other drinks. So bad at this stuff.
Yoriki Iwao, a Tokyo professor of criminal sociology, proposed a more disturbing theory regarding the killer's motives. He stated, "It is not uncommon for Japanese who live under tremendous pressure, both on the job and in overcrowded communities, to let out their frustrations by hurting someone else."
Okay, I understand letting out your frustrations, but by hurting other people? Such a Japanese name for a group. Hey, we should make our name one word now. How about 7? Jeez.
The person responsible may even wait around to see who buys the poisoned drink. He or she may find this is a kind of exhilarating release from the tensions of life in Japan. But even if this was the truth, it still didn't bring investigators any closer to catching the suspect. Left with no other options, the authorities turned to the public and launched a nationwide campaign on the 27th of September. They placed signs and distributed leaflets telling people to avoid suspicious free drinks and to properly inspect the cap seals on their beverage.
Okay, finally, yeah. Finally, they're notifying the public. Overcrowding, overpressure can lead some to dehumanize anyone who's not them. That's just, I can't wrap my brain around that. That's just something I would never do.
Before consumption. They also instructed vending machine owners to investigate their stock for any anomalies and told chemical shops to monitor their customers more closely. It's unclear how effective this campaign was, as the number of victims kept increasing even after its launch. But then something unexpected happened. On the 17th of November, the murder spree stopped completely after the death of a 17-year-old girl. She was the only female to have died from the poisoning. It's possible that the person who committed these atrocities had a moral code against harming women, though that's nothing more than a baseless speculation. Due to the complete lack of evidence, the vending machine killer was never identified, cementing this case as one of the most chilling, unsolved mysteries in Japanese history.
Huh. So, I mean, they're not on the loose. Well, I guess they still are on the loose because I never caught them. Because I don't know, for some reason I was like, so they just did want to hurt. Oh, that's kind of weird, but all right. That's something.
Little Rock serial stabber. On April 11, 2021, the Little Rock Police Department received a distress call from South Pulaski Street regarding a potential homicide. When they arrived at the scene, they found a middle-aged woman lying on the street with stab wounds all over her body. This woman turned out to be 41-year-old Deborah Walker. She was homeless at the time and was living on the streets when this incident happened.
Maybe it was the girl themselves who was the killer. That's what I was thinking too, but I don't know if that was too, like in my brain being like, yeah, maybe it was them and they were just, you know, they got like overwhelmed. They're like, just delete. How do you use free soda in the tray of a vending machine? You only target one gender, doesn't try. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing too. Like, how does that work? You can't be like, oh no, don't take that drink, because then you look sus. I don't know. Doubt they had comms about harming women because their entire modus operandi made it impossible for them to select their victim. Yeah, it was just random. You can't be like, well, it could only be this type, because it would be random. You can't control who goes to the vending machine. Vending machines are like open to everyone, so I don't know. That would bother me. That one for real.
She was quickly taken to the hospital where medical staff discovered that she had been stabbed at least 15 times.
Holy.
Despite lying on the street, bleeding for what may have been hours, she miraculously survived and managed to regain consciousness the same day. Investigators also visited her in the hospital to gather any information she could provide about her attacker. Unfortunately, she was attacked somewhere between 1 and 4 a.m. It was still dark outside, and all that she saw was that her attacker was a tall, African-American male with a slender build. Now, in most other similar cases, such limited information would hardly be enough to generate any leads. But in this instance, the description Deborah provided left the investigators in disbelief. That's because her attacker's profile closely matched the perpetrator of another incident that took place about 8 months earlier in the surrounding area. The victim of that incident was 64-year-old Larry Eugene McChristian.
Okay, so they're trying to find a pattern. So far, we have this guy, and we have a female. I can't believe 15 stab wounds, though, and survived. Good on her.
He was living in Little Rock with his daughter, Sarah, who was on probation at the time. On the 20th of August, 2020, he had a medical emergency and was taken to the hospital in an ambulance. He was discharged from the hospital the next morning. However, when the hospital staff tried to contact Sarah so she could pick him up, she wasn't answering her phone. So they gave Larry the information about a nearby homeless shelter and a bus token to get there. Later that day, Sarah came to the hospital looking for her father, only to learn that he'd been discharged hours ago. She then reached out to the homeless facility Larry was told about, but they didn't know anything about his whereabouts either. The only option she had was to file a missing persons report and wait for the police to find Larry. 2 days later, on the 24th of August, Sarah received the call she was waiting for. Tragically, it wasn't the news she had hoped for. According to the official report, the Little Rock Police Department found Larry's body on South Gaines Street at around 2 a.m. They identified him by the hospital discharge papers he had on him. More importantly, he had multiple stab wounds on his body and was unfortunately already dead by the time the police arrived.
Oh, no.
His death was declared a homicide, and the investigators began looking for clues almost immediately. This proved quite impossible at first, since there were no witnesses, and there wasn't anything that could be used as evidence at the crime scene. However, after inspecting the surrounding houses, they had a major breakthrough.
I don't know why I leaned in thinking I'd be able to see them. Okay, so there's some information on this, but they still haven't found him? So hi, Zin.
The CCTV camera outside a nearby house had captured the suspect walking down the street when suddenly he spots Larry and begins walking towards him. After committing the crime, he tries leaving the area, only to stop, go back, and stab Larry one last time before fleeing.
What?
As mentioned earlier, this man matched the profile Deborah gave to the police, leading investigators.
He said, nah, another one. What? Huh? Also, the hospital couldn't have waited a few more hours until they got a hold of his daughter. Yeah, I don't understand that part either. It just seems like the perfect storm sometimes. Like, you're just in the wrong place at the wrong time. And it baffles me sometimes. How do you know?
To believe she was attacked by the same person. While looking into older cases, they also connected the same killer to another murder that happened in the area on September 23, 2020. The victim of this incident was 62-year-old Jeff Welch, another homeless man who was living in an abandoned home. On the morning of that day, Jeff's friend found him on the porch of his house with a stab wound on his neck. By this point, the investigators knew they were dealing with a deranged serial killer. However, just as they uncovered the connection between the three attacks, another tragedy unfolded.
Oh my gosh.
On April 12, 2023, a day after the attack on Deborah Walker, another one of his victims was found on the Wright Avenue overpass.
Yeah, so our only pattern here is homeless or appearing to be homeless. Yeah, I heard him not being dead. We'll just turn around and finish him off. That's why you always just pretend you're dead. Maybe. Yeah, maybe cried out. That'd be so bad. And he didn't make it. It's sad. Discharge usually takes all day, but if he discharged himself, nothing you can do to hold him. Yeah, but like, wouldn't you think like, hey, your daughter's on their way, or like some kind of contact to keep them updated? I mean, especially if he's in like a lot of pain, or I don't know.
The only thing in common with these four attacks was that they all involved homeless individuals,
yeah,
and they all happened between 1 and 4 a.m.
Oh, that's another thing, right? It was between 1 and 4 a.m. I meant to say that too, because the guy was 2, the woman was also 1 and 4, so that's a common theme. It's always between the hours of 1 and 4 a.m. Okay. Well, I mean, not a lot of people would be out during that time, and it would be dark outside, so...
There seemed to be no clear pattern on how the perpetrator selected his targets. This left the Little Rock community terrified to leave their homes, fearing they might become the next victim of the serial killer on the loose. After realizing the potential danger of this situation, LRPD began spreading awareness about the man who is now being referred to as the Little Rock Slasher. They also turned to the public to ask for any information they could provide on the matter, and even announced a $20,000 reward.
We also...
That total whiplash from silly Ratman to this is crazy. Yeah, this is a little more serious, a little more not tee haha funny clown Ratman.
Need your help. If you have seen anything suspicious or have surveillance cameras on your homes or businesses in this area, please contact us at 501.
Unfortunately, despite having CCTV footage of the suspect, the Little Rock Slasher was never caught.
Yeah, but like with this footage, to be real, you can't see his face. You can barely see his build. Like, you can't even see color. So, like, come on. Time in the morning is the most vulnerable for the homeless. You're just getting your head down, trying to sleep or find someone to sleep. Yeah. Or if you're just, like, strolling at 1 in the morning, there's, like, there's only so much you can do. Is the equivalent of seeing a thank will serve the perspective of everyone who is a thankful. Satch.
The case remains a mystery to this day. Or at least that's what the official reports say. While researching this case, I came across an Arkansas-based blog called the Snarky Media Report. The authors of this blog did their own investigation into the slasher case, and what they found was shocking to say the least. Put simply, they claim to have found the true identity of the killer after talking to multiple locals and Deborah, who, according to their blog, already knew the identity of her attacker.
Oh.
They also uncovered many details about this supposed killer, including his criminal record, which reveals that he has already served 2 prison terms in Arkansas for felony convictions of domestic violence. Also, his history with drug abuse and how it made him very agitated and violent. The authors of this blog also claim to have contacted the alleged killer's previous landlord, who gave them this image of the perpetrator. Which begs the question, if they know so much about the slasher, including his legal name, why didn't they give this info to the police?
Yeah.
That's where the case goes from creepy to bizarre, since, according to them, they've already given everything they had to the relevant authorities. Despite this, the Little Rock police didn't make any progression in catching the serial killer.
No, the part that's super sus is she told them. Didn't they say she told them? And they just didn't do anything with it? And they had like, I don't know. This is a little suspicious.
Snarky Media also published a video of the Little Rock mayor and police chief refusing to answer questions about the case. This seems to hint at something incredibly shady going on behind the scenes. That said, there's no way for me to confirm if the authors of the Snarky Media blog are telling the truth. For all we know, their whole investigation is made up, and this is just some random guy who has nothing to do with the 4 attacks, and it's all a ploy to make the Little Rock Police Department look bad.
I mean, I could see both sides. Originally said she only gave a description of the perpetrator. Oh, didn't they say they asked her at the hospital and she said she didn't know earlier? Maybe she found out later and then gave them? Because like I said, in this case, it's being a little sus, but at the same time, it's like, I guess if you don't have enough, like, information and, like, actual, like, evidence that there's only so much you can do, I don't know. Like I said, I don't remember when this happened either. I forgot. The rules around evidence can really only impede cops, even in a situation like this. Yeah, that's where it gets tricky.
Most of the information they've gathered seems to check out with what's released publicly by the authorities. The only discrepancy in their investigation is the age of the suspect. Officials believe the slasher to be young, possibly in his 20s, but the authors of this blog state that the person they found was 46 years old. Unfortunately, this is where the leads end. Whether Snarky Media is telling the truth or not remains uncertain. What is certain, however, is that the case remains unsolved to this day. The Little Rock slasher is likely still out there and can continue his murder spree at any moment.
That's terrifying. Cool.
Thanks to Trade Coffee for sponsoring this video.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm just gonna skip past this part. Usually I listen to it, but I'm running a little bit low on time, so I'm going to just skip ahead. Okay. Oh, next one, the smiley face killer. Oh, great, cool. There's a movie that has smiley faces, and it freaks me out, and I never want to watch it, so yippee!
In 1997, 21-year-old Patrick McNeil went out with his friends. He spent the evening out drinking with his friends and
can't go out with your friends. Lesson learned.
In the Dapper Dog Bar in Manhattan.
Unrelated. Now I want a hot dog.
During this time, he likely drank more than he could handle, resulting in him throwing up in the bar's bathroom before leaving in a highly unstable and disoriented state. Patrick was then seen turning left onto 90th Street, heading in the direction of the East River.
90th Street?
This was the last time anyone would see Patrick alive. Following this night out, Patrick vanished into thin air. Despite extensive efforts, authorities found no leads or clues to his whereabouts. That is until April 7, 1997, when Patrick's lifeless body was found in the East River 50 days after his disappearance. Duty Sergeant of the NYPD Special Investigation Division, Kevin Gannon, was called to the scene.
Yeah, honestly, I'm kind of friends with a friend wander off drunk. I don't know. I really don't know. Because I would never do that. That, I'm very clingy, so I wouldn't do that anyway. But, like, see? Always, if you're going out with your friends, stick in, like, groups of 2 or 3. Never leave each other. Check up on each other.
To assist with the body's recovery and examination. Kevin had been a seasoned detective for years, and by this point, there was little that could surprise him. However, the circumstances surrounding Patrick's death disturbed him to his core. The more he looked into it, the more strange the situation became. For instance, Kevin noted that Patrick's body wasn't decomposed enough to have been floating in the river for a week, let alone the past 50 days. He also found burn marks on Patrick's body, hinting at the possibility of him being restrained prior to his death. Kevin knew that something wasn't right. Unfortunately, due to the complete lack of evidence pointing to the contrary, Patrick's death was ruled as an accident. Kevin kept thinking over this feeling for the next...
That doesn't sound like an accident. I mean, him dying was probably not, but like the burn marks from rope, I don't think that was an accident. Yeah, especially if you're in the water and that gets rid of a lot of evidence, I think. That's... Ugh. The channel called The Lore Lodge has done a whole series of videos breaking down all the clusters of potential smiley face killings. Oh, that's terrifying. If this does well, I'll look into that. As long as you remind me, because I probably will forget.
Year before coming across a case that reinforced his suspicions even further. On February 13, 1998, another body was found in the same stretch of water. This body was later identified as 22-year-old Lawrence R. Andrews, who had gone missing on New Year's Eve after celebrating the event with his friends in Times Square. After getting on the case, it didn't take long for Kevin to notice eerie similarities between the two cases, as both bodies were found within yards of each other.
I was like, especially in the same area? Okay, so now we know it's in this area.
Both of them were also young Caucasian males and were on track to have successful careers. They both disappeared.
Hold on, with successful careers? He wasn't out at a bar, though, I think, from what we know yet.
In one of the most crowded cities in the world without any trace as well. Most importantly, Kevin also found similar oddities in both cases, where the bodies were a lot less decomposed than they should have been, and there were burn marks indicating possible restraints before their death. Lawrence's case prompted Kevin to look for other similar cases across the U.S.
Smart.
He enlisted the help of fellow detective Anthony Duarte and a criminal justice professor, Dr. Lee Gilbertson.
So maybe he went after people that, like, had more than him, like, that were set up to be successful type of thing? Yeah, on track to be successful. They don't mention that really specifically too much, but I don't know. A lot of them do seem coincidental, but the Pittsburgh cluster is suspicious. I mean, there's always a pattern, that's the thing.
Together, they began investigating these cases, and soon a chilling pattern began to emerge. In total, they found 45 different instances of young men dying under shockingly similar...
45, and it just clicked now? What?
Similar circumstances as Patrick and Lawrence. Most of them went out for a night of drinking, became more intoxicated than usual, disappeared shortly after, and were later found dead in some body of water. Almost all of them were also Caucasian and on track to have a high-paying career like engineering after college. Most disturbingly, however, they also found graffiti of smiley faces.
What? Okay. Okay.
Near the body.
Now I understand the smiley faces. Okay.
Bodies of at least a dozen different victims. This led to the three investigators creating the smiley face murder theory. According to this theory, these 45 and possibly many other deaths from the
Yeah, don't get into engineering. Don't spend time out with friends. Learned my lesson. That's the lesson in this video.
1990s to 2010s weren't accidents in the slightest. Instead, they were murders committed by a single deranged person or an organized group of serial killers. This is the only logical explanation they could find to justify the many oddities and similarities in these incidents. That said, while this theory makes complete sense to some people, others aren't convinced one bit.
Wait, morbid what? Huh? I used to be a teacher, what? Huh? What do you mean it had to be a teacher, what? Not exactly a rare piece of graffiti, not sure they know with careers though. Yeah, as I'm saying, the career thing seems kind of sus, but the fact that it was mostly engineers, maybe they were at the same college or something, or I don't know, maybe they mentioned about it, bragged. It just seems like so funky. No, I'm not. No, I could never hurt someone. I'm just a small cot. So stress of the smiley faces nearby were a few hundred yards away on a bridge. A lot of them generally seem like drunk accidents, but there are clusters that look like killings. Yeah, it's just like, I know smiley faces aren't like an abnormal, uncommon type of thing that people would spray paint, but it is a little sus.
Criminal profiler Pat Brown, for instance, called this theory ludicrous. She believes that the idea of connecting smiley faces, one of the most common graffiti symbols, with murders is just absurd, stating, "It's not an unusual symbol. If you look in any area 5 miles square, I bet you could find a smiley face."
True.
The FBI also completely denied this theory in a statement, reading, "The FBI has reviewed the information about the victims provided by 2 retired police detectives who have dubbed these incidents the smiley face murders and interviewed an individual who provided information to the detectives. To date, we have not developed any evidence to support links between these tragic deaths or any evidence substantiating the theory that these deaths are the work of a serial killer or killers. The vast majority of these instances appear to be alcohol-related drownings. However, despite these setbacks, the three men have stuck with their theory. They're still working on finding evidence to back their observations. That said, if their hunch is correct, it would mean one of the most wicked serial killers in American history is still at large today.
The fact that it was like 40-something, I think he said 45 bodies, and they just connected them later. But yeah, you said I'm threatened to bite my ankles? Yeah, but I wouldn't actually hurt you, Rum. I wouldn't be like, that would be terrifying. I would never actually hurt someone. Physical evidence in those sus cases implicates a woman being involved. Wait, for the smiley face? The smiley face killer? Yeah, they're all successful engineer students that were on track to have a career. Nothing against teachers. I think it's great if people want to be an engineer. I got nothing against engineers. We need them. They're important. Another one.
I-70 killer.
Oh.
Robin Fuldauer was a 26-year-old Indiana University graduate who was working at an Indianapolis Payless shoe source store near I-70 in 1992. The 8th of April was supposed to be her day off. However, just as she was getting ready to relax,
never take days off. Okay, heard.
At home, the employee who was supposed to man the counter called in sick. Left with no other options, her manager called Robin.
Okay, false alarm. Real lesson right now is if you're supposed to have the day off, take the day off. Do not go into work. Okay, heard.
And told her to cover the shift instead. Robin wasn't very happy about this emergency shift change, but she reluctantly agreed, arriving at the store at 10 a.m. and starting her shift as usual. Unfortunately, her day was about to get a whole lot worse. Everything seemed normal until 2 p.m. when the manager called the store for a routine check. To her surprise, Robin wasn't picking up the phone. She kept trying for a few minutes before giving up and calling the Speedway gas station neighboring the shoe store. One of the gas station employees, a friend of Robin's, went to the Payless store to see if she was doing okay. However, what she found inside left her confused.
Oh, no.
The store was in slight disarray and some of the shoes were missing from the shelves. The cash register was also open and there was no money in it. Most concerning of all, there were no signs of Robin anywhere. Her friend called out Robin's name, hoping she was just in the back and would respond.
Yeah, I would not. Okay, mad respect to responders. I would not want to be in this place. Walking in, seeing like shoes and stuff on the floor, no one in here. I'd be terrified. Oh my god, dolphins. Take the day off, spend time with the cats, do not leave the house. Yeah, if you have a day off from work, I don't care what your boss says, you take that day off. Lesson learned.
But when she didn't hear anything from Robin after minutes of standing in the store, she became worried and called the police at around 2:20 p.m.
Yeah.
The cops arrived within minutes and began searching the store for clues on Robin's whereabouts. And it wasn't long before they made a devastating discovery.
Uh-oh.
They found Robin lying in the store's back office, covered in blood. It was already too late. During questioning, an employee from the store across the street claimed to have seen a strange man loitering around the shoe store a couple hours earlier. According to this employee, the man sat on the curb for about a half hour, rifling through his bag and staring at the Payless store. They then saw the same man a few minutes later trying to hitch a ride back to Interstate 465, which was about a quarter mile from the store's location. Unfortunately, they were too far away to get a good look at the man's face. Given the money stolen from the register, and without any other leads, investigators filed this as nothing more than a robbery gone wrong. However, they couldn't have been more wrong. Because just 3 days later, something similarly tragic happened to 23-year-old Patricia Smith and 32-year-old Patricia Makers. The two were working at a bridal shop in Wichita along I-70. The incident happened a little past their usual closing time as they were waiting for a customer who had a pickup. When they saw a man approaching the store, they assumed that it was the customer. However, this man drew a gun on the two after entering the store, took them to the back, and executed both with shots to the back of their heads. As the killer was leaving the store, he crossed paths with the actual customer the girls were waiting for. Without hesitation, he aimed his gun at the man and ordered him to head to the back of the store. But the customer defied his command and ran, narrowly escaping with his life. He later helped the police draw a sketch of the killer. Unfortunately, the sketch didn't provide much of a breakthrough.
That's a really good sketch, though. They got a good look at it. Holy macaroni, okay.
By this point, the authorities were certain they were dealing with a serial killer, but despite their efforts, the killer's spree continued. By May 7th, he had taken 3 more victims in small, low-traffic stores along the I-70 highway. By the time investigators managed to compile a few more sketches, the
Yeah, I was thinking, if the guy came into the store and you just casually, like, walked out, not making a big deal about it, I wonder if you even would have looked at his face. Because, like, imagine walking to the store being like, oh, I'm here to pick up a dress or whatever, and then you just hear crickets, and then you're like, hello, hello. You wouldn't even think about the guy walking out the store. Like, I don't, like, study people's faces as they walk out of a store, you know what I mean? Yeah, always run. Always run. And now these are a lot of different faces. Okay.
70 killer stopped his quest and went into hiding. That is until 1993, when he claimed 3 more victims along I-35 in Texas. He tried to hide his identity by changing his weapon, but the investigators were quick to notice the similarities. One of his victims, Vicky Webb, also managed to miraculously survive after getting shot in the neck. If he were ever caught, Vicky's testimony would have been crucial in bringing him to justice. Though the I-70 killer was never found, and the case went cold for nearly 3 decades. However, then, in 2021, investigators released CCTV footage of a murder that happened in 2001. The suspect in this footage looks strikingly similar to the I-70 killer sketches, potentially giving authorities the lead they need to finally catch him. It's likely only a matter of time before he runs out of places to hide and is captured. But for now, he's still out there, evading police and leaving the case unresolved. We can only hope he doesn't take any more victims in the meantime.
Huh. Well, alright then. That was kind of quirky. That was... Yeah. What did we learn today, chat? 1, don't be an engineer. Don't go out with your friends. Don't be outside between the hours of 1 and 4 in the morning. Don't go into work when you're supposed to be called out. I don't know. That was only the first one though. Oof. Oof. Oh, do not accept free drinks. Ugh. See, this is why I listen to these things. You learn a lot. Uplifting video with life lessons. Yeah, just to be safe, don't go outside. Make sure your doors and windows are locked, covered with curtains. Don't have any same patterns. Always travel in an armed posse. Real. Yeah, run when someone tells you to follow. See, we're learning a lot today. People are scary is the overall lesson. People are scary. Got my chicken sandwich, but I missed. We're just about to start the next video. We have from Extinct Zoo, the largest animals you've never heard of. Well, I mean, I guess I am a giant cat girl, you know what I mean? So I'm probably gonna be in this video. Just giving you guys the heads up. Next time my brother says, come over, I need help, I will run from him. Noted. Yeah, I love that, man. Yeah, we watched, I think it was like underwater fossils, something like that. So I watched one before from Extinct Zoo, and people liked it before. So giant. I said what I said. Okay. Okay, we got a squid coming up first. Let's go.
Fierce, giant, and extinct. When I say those 3 words, what do people typically think of?
Okay, I'm not extinct, though. Silence, I am giant, thank you.
Well, they first may picture a dinosaur of some sorts, perhaps a T-Rex or some kind of sauropod. But then if I say no dinosaurs, one then might move on to a giant pterosaur, mosasaur, croc, megashark.
Okay, I probably would not have thought whale, but now that I saw a picture whale, yeah.
A giant from the Ice Age, etc., etc. The point is, when we talk about giant prehistoric animals, there are a few that pretty much always come to mind, leading to documentaries and movies frequently featuring the same type of animals on repeat. However, because of this focus, certain giants on Earth throughout the years have been found which simply have fallen to the sidelines, overshadowed again by the quote-unquote fan favorites. And personally, I think these forgotten faces need a little love too, as if you really look through history, you'll find that there are many giants walking about that most people have never heard of, let alone seen. And I'm not talking about unknown animals that belong to...
Pen! What the... Pen! You know, Rob can delete your messages, right? What the hello?
Groups that are already well known for being huge. Instead, we're going to be taking a look at animals that...
Mods, timeout, Tetra, thank you.
That, hopefully, you didn't know existed in nearly any sense of the word. As seen with this specimen, now known as the Beast of Lesotho. If you have heard of this before, your paleo lore is king-like. And perhaps
I wish my paleo lore was king-like. Sag, couldn't be me.
you don't need even to watch this video, but stick around anyway. Now, for everyone else, what exactly is the Beast of Lesotho? Well, an amphibian like no other, that's what. For hundreds of millions of years, from the
It's kind of, it reminds me, wait, there's a Monster Hunter thing that has the same, what is it called? Oh my god, it's gonna mess me up. I'm gonna think about it. But he's kind of just a little guy. Oh, I forgot the name of it. French toast.
Carboniferous all the way up to the Cretaceous, one could say that the realm of amphibians was pretty much dominated by just one group, the Temnospondyli, who have been found all over the world and came in virtually every shape.
Nibblesnarf. Thank you. I knew I recognized the face. It's just a Nibblesnarf, guys. I don't speak 4 foot. Can you translate for me, band? Why is bro built just like me? A thin, long line. Dang, calling yourself out. Oh, that's the other thing about love those terms. But yeah, like it's the Nibblesnarf. Ah, except it's aquatic because I don't think Nibblesnarf is aquatic.
In size, with some being teeny tiny and others absolutely giant. And so this order is extremely diverse, with one way of thinking about them is that they're pretty much the mammal equivalent of the placentals. So
they're just little guys.
Unsurprisingly, there are multiple large families that made up the Temnospondyli, and one of them was the Brachiopidae, a family which specifically emerged during the final days of the Permian, and were quite successful up until the Jurassic. The members of this group, just like the order, varied in size and location, but they were all carnivores, who are believed to have lived a lot like crocodiles, being opportunistic hunters, only restricted in diet by their size. And for many years, amphibians from this family were regarded as having been small to medium-sized, not massive. Until that is, a fragmented piece of a jaw was found in South Africa that seems to have changed everything, as this mouthpiece was huge. Now, it has not been confirmed if it belonged to an already identified genus, or rather represents a brand new one, but either way, it has been classified to have come from a Brachiopidae. And when comparing this jaw piece to related members, we come to the conclusion that this guy might have reached 7 meters or 23 feet long. Which, for comparison, the largest amphibian alive today, the Chinese giant salamander, is only 1.8 meters or 5.6 feet long, so not even a third of the length. And the beast of Lesotho, as it was aptly named, wasn't just long, but also ridiculously chunky and robust, having had a whopper of a mouth.
They're chunky. Oh, I love them. I love them so much already. Big lad, he's just a little guy, okay? He's just a little, no. He's a little guy. But he's, giant. Oh, Lord.
That could possibly swallow even a human-sized prey whole, and also weighed multiple tons. The body, that is, not the mouth.
3 tons? That's just his body or the whole thing? Possibly. Okay, we don't know. He's a chunky boy.
Currently, it's believed to have lived in the waterways of the Elliott Formation during the very early stages of the Jurassic, where it there might have terrorized numerous kinds of animals in need of a drink, including multiple theropods, smaller sauropodomorphs, and ornithischians, among others. And so far, it's actually the largest known carnivore from the entire formation, dinosaurs included. So much so for this being the age of dinosaurs. But with this said, I will mention that obviously the jaw piece is fragmentary, so it remains to be seen just how accurate its body size estimate is. However, even if the beast of Lesotho does turn out to be a bust, it's still fine, because we actually have other obscure giant amphibians too, such as the possibly longer, albeit lighter built, Prionosuchus, which hailed from Permian Brazil.
Yeah, that kind of looks like a crocodile alligator vibe.
Or the alligator-headed Mastodonsaurus from Triassic Europe, which could have exceeded 6 meters or 20 feet and also held a more robust build, and made a great living by feeding on large fish as well as others of its own kind, seeing that evidence for cannibalism amongst this 2-ton-plus creature is very much known of. So the next time a show or documentary wants to make a certain area come off as a bit horrifying, I say we go with the giant amphibian. They're just that dang cool.
He's not horrifying, he's kind of cute looking. He's so cute.
And you know what else is cool? A giant animal that looks like a dinosaur, but wasn't, and is something most people have never heard of before. And so, what am I talking about? Well, none other than the Silosuchus, of course. Now, if you're an avid watcher, you might remember this guy, but I still feel like this is a relatively unknown creature on the grand scale of things. Which is honestly shocking when you realize that this was the largest animal to ever stand on 2 legs that was not a dinosaur. And yes, it can be hard to believe that this was in fact not a dinosaur, but it really wasn't. Instead, what you're looking at is a type of popsauroid, who were essentially an advanced clade of pseudopsuchians that were one of the Earth's most abundant animals during various parts of the Triassic, and are generally known for having been a bit unusual.
Yeah, he's a bit he's kind of built a little different. Yeah, he's a little funky.
With some having sails, others being robust quadrupeds, and then some, like the Silosuchus, walking around on 2 legs. The Silosuchus specifically belonged to the Papasaur family, the Shuvasaur.
Did you say the Papasaur? Okay. I love these dinosaur names that I can't pronounce. They're so quirky. Except when they slowly chase you around all day on a small island when you have nowhere to run. Huh?
Day. And, perhaps not shockingly, it was its largest member, as well as being one of the largest non-dinosaur archosaurs of all time, as specimens show signs of getting up to 10 meters, or 33 feet in length, which, by the way, is longer than your average fully grown Allosaurus. And again, just to reiterate, this was not a theropod. And what makes this animal even more unusual is that, despite resembling a megatheropod, which would thus make you assume that it ate meat, was really just a friendly giant. Well, as far as taste buds go, as it was a beaked, toothless herbivore that grazed from trees, sort of like a two-legged sauropod. And coincidentally, it actually lived alongside sauropods too, or at least sauropodomorphs, as this beast hailed from the Triassic Ischigualasto Formation of Argentina, which was home to multiple dinosaurs, yet none were absolute giants just yet, leading to the Silosuchus likely being the largest animal within the environment. And though much more famous, I should mention that its more carnivorous relatives could also be equally massive, as you did have pseudosuchians like the Silosuchus, which were just as long, but a tad bit more toothy and angry, probably specializing in feeding upon multi-ton sauropodomorphs. In fact, it even seems that the Silosuchus might have been the biggest terrestrial predator ever, discounting dinosaurs.
See, compared to the other guys, these guys look a little funky. The Papasaur and the Mamasaur. Why you guys like this? We got your ancestor. Are you a lizard mom? Oh my god. Scientists given complex names to justify their tenure with a British public named research ship Bodie McBoatface. But we love that for them because then I can pronounce those.
And the largest fully land predator to walk on 4 legs. And so, given its attributes, it's not that surprising that it recently even got its own Hollywood debut in the movie 65. But I should mention that it didn't actually really live 65 million years ago, as the movie title would have you believe. Rather, like the Silosuchus, it lived during the late Triassic. But you know what is still waiting for its shot to being a movie's big bad? A creature.
This looks like Subnautica. Go back. I like the Subnautica view. They're friend-shaped. Why is it shooting water out of its nose? Is it laughing? Okay.
That I think would make for a great Jaws replacement, the Nothosaurus. This was just one member of the often forgotten about order of marine reptiles, which were aptly named the Nothosaurs, and who lived all across the
Nothosaurus. Okay.
world's oceans for much of the Triassic period. And they were in many ways superficially similar to the plesiosaurs, having long body plans, elongated necks, forelimbs, and gracile builds. And typically they even shared a similar diet, with many members using needle-like teeth to catch fish, amongst other similar animals. Yet, for the most part, they've
teeth to catch fish, yes. I was watching Cotto drinking coffee. Yeah, well, if it's a defense mechanism underwater, I'm confused. Unless it's above water. Yeah, this I could see being this, or the other one with the really, really long neck. Love this guy was actually in the Jurassic franchise, but the Kemp Cretaceous series did not need tier products. Sag. Funky looking guys. They're a little quirky. They kind of like, they have like the mouth of like, want to know how I got these scars? Like, it's just a little wide. Just a little bit. A little crocodile alligator-esque, you know what I mean?
Remained much more unknown to the general public than their distant relatives. And I think this has something to do with the plesiosaurs being much larger, as typically Nothosaurs weren't that big, usually maxing out to 2 meters or 6.5 feet. So large enough to give you a heart
not too big, 6.5 feet, okay.
attack in the water, but probably not large enough to the point that it would have actually bothered you. However, this notion about their size has slowly started to change after the discovery of massive specimens which hailed from Triassic China and Europe. And these new specimens, often made up of portions of the face and varying teeth, show that 2 species, Nothosaurus giganteus and Gengi, could measure up to 7 meters or 23 feet long, and were structurally much more robust than their fellow kin, leading researchers to believe that fish wasn't the only grub that these species were restricted to. In the case of the Gengi specimen, it's even thought that the current estimates are too low, and that it really might have been able to reach greater lengths. Now,
to small cats like he was giant. No, like comparing it to the 33-foot one, Rom. That was the joke. 6'5" totally normal size. No, it's not normal size. That's giant. Not compared to the 33-foot one, but what the?
Now, admittedly, we have been kind of spoiled in the realm of marine giants, thanks to the likes of the Megalodon or predatory whales. But don't forget, even at 7 meters, the Nothosaurus is one of the largest marine predators that wasn't a whale, mosasaur, plesiosaur, ichthyosaur, or shark. And that might sound like quite the list of exclusions, but remember just how many groups have lived in the ocean. And what makes the Nothosaurus a little bit more crazy is that unlike its lookalike, the Plesiosaurus, it was apparently a semi-aquatic creature that you could find not only in the water, but also lurking on the beaches. So if you don't mind sharing the sand with a predator longer than a tiger shark, which also has a face like this, then the Nothosaurus might just be the animal for you. And like I said, the Nothosaurus hailed from the Triassic period, which, just like a few others talked about so far. And so, I would say that the Triassic as a whole has gone somewhat under the radar when it comes to giants, as it had more than just a few. And amongst the lot, there was one terrestrial tank that is almost never talked about, despite it possibly being the largest land animal ever once we exclude dinosaurs, proboscideans, and rhinos. And again, almost no one knows about it. And this—
Yeah, I've never seen this thing. Kind of looks like a hippo without ears, kinda.
This was the Lisovica. Now, a partial reason to why it's so unknown is that relative to many other genera, it was only recently discovered, or at least only described, with that happening only in 2019. However, the bones belonging to it were actually unearthed a bit earlier, back in
That's the size of the bone, it looks giant. It's humerus? That looks giant.
2006, after researchers in Poland found a variety of different bones outside the village of Lisovica. And these bones were massive, and were of such stature that at first the scientists assumed that they could only have once belonged to a large sauropodomorph. Yet after they found over 1,000 more bones, this time with pieces of skull material, they understood that in reality, they'd stumbled upon a new kind of dicynodont, making it a member of the extinct Animodontiaclade, and, by the way, non-mammalian synapsid at that. With this said, this group had been a long-known staple of the Triassic, and large genera were already known from it, such as the Ischigualastia, a genus, unsurprisingly, from the Ischigualasta Formation of Argentina, which I previously mentioned. And this genus could weigh up to 1 ton and stand nearly as tall as a person.
Dang.
Yet the Lisovica was on a completely different level, making all those before it appear small, with their hips alone standing at over—
Yeah, I have this kind of aura that, things before me just appear small. Should I Disney Star Wars? It's kind of cute looking. It's got like soft features, and then it's like it has like this beak looking thing at the front.
2.6 meters or 8.5 feet tall, while its body stretched out for over 4.5 meters or 15 feet. And that's the actual body, by the way, not including the tail, saying that, well, it almost didn't have one, being just pretty much pure mass. And since it was essentially an oversized blob, its bones were absurdly robust in construction as well, which altogether put the Lisovica at possibly 9 tons in weight, making it on par with modern—
9 tons? What the? He's literally built like a beef Wellington. Like literally. What the?
day elephants, and even heavier than some of the most famous dinosaurs, such as the Stegosaurus, Ankylosaurus, and obviously more. And remember, this guy was from the Triassic, and so, given its size, it's also considered by some to have been the largest animal to ever walk up until the evolution of large sauropodomorphs. So, pretty metal. But fret not, any would-be time travelers, as this guy was not carnivorous. As like its fellow obscure giant, the Silosuchus, Lisovica was a toothless beaked herbivore that used its beak to snip and chew vegetation. And we know from located coprolites, i.e. fossilized dung pieces, that most of its diet was composed of softer plants and conifers, while some of its snacks could then also be made up of woody material. But despite being a green lover, I would still recommend some heavy caution around this guy, as it was, once again, built like a literal tank, and had one thick bony head that I'm sure could dish out some pretty impressive damage if it got a hold of you. I mean, if a camel is able to essentially bite someone's head off, I certainly don't want to know what this Dicynodon could do.
A camel can bite someone's head off? Hello?
But with that said, its massive size was not a foolproof defense during the Triassic, as there are in fact signs this animal was preyed upon, with bones showing bite marks that seem to have come from another somewhat obscure giant, the Smok Wawelski, which yes, is its actual name.
Smok Wawelski. Oh, okay, interesting name.
Now this was a decently sized archosaur from the late Triassic that looked like, once again, it could have been a dinosaur, or perhaps an unusual—
I love this front view that they have right here. This is me waking up in the morning. I'm gonna be real.
Rauisuchid. But for now we don't know which of these it actually was, only that it was quite big for the time, measuring 6 meters or 20 feet long, which in fact makes it the largest known predatory archosaur from Europe during not only the late Triassic, but all the way up until the early Jurassic, too. At this point, everything I've talked about has not been something that we are, and that would be a mammal, and so this could have you feeling a bit left out. And truthfully, I do think finding some obscure mammalian giants is a bit tricky, as many tend to be the same old, same old. I mean, I guess you could say that the Paraceratherium or the Paleoloxodon pneumaticus are both somewhat obscure giants, being 10+ ton behemoths, but one was a proboscidean and the other a rhinoceratoid, two groups which are not obscure and are very well known for being big. So, at least to me, I wouldn't say that they're that obscure. Then, there are also some other groups that I would say are composed of obscure genera, but as a whole are well known, which includes many groups from the Ice Age, like the giant ground sloths, armadillos, and so forth. Yet, with all of this said, there was one group that did stick out to me, as they aren't as famous as the Ice Age animals, and reach sizes that, frankly, even I wasn't aware of. And that would be the Brontotheridae. If I could sum up this group of extinct Paraceodactyl in just a few words, it'd be the rhinos of old. However, in reality, they only superficially looked like rhinos, not being close relatives.
I'll say they're pretty close to rhino. You can see the essence of rhino.
At all. Instead, being slightly more related to horses, with their shared appearance simply coming down to convergent evolution. I guess a tank-like body, dense hide, and a large bony nose horn that you can ram things with is a pretty useful combo no matter when you evolve. And as a whole, just like the rhinos, this group became highly successful, existing for over 20 million years during the Eocene period, and expanding throughout large portions of Europe, North America, and Asia, where it's believed they lived in large herds and inhabited warm...
Yeah, not gonna lie, as cute as they look, I would not mess with any of these animals. If not rhino, why rhino-shaped? Exactly!
moist, wooded, and forested areas. Now, those who've actually researched these animals have long known that they harbored giants, and for a good duration of time...
Unrelated, it said Tapir in the background. Did you guys hear about the news that there was a really, a rare one born in a zoo? It has, like, spots and dots on it, and apparently one hasn't been born in, like, a really long time. I don't remember it, but I know it was like, really exciting news.
The known top dog, or Brontothere, was believed to have been the Megacerops.
Also, very nice beard, Megacerops, very nice.
An obscure giant amongst its own kind that stood 2.5 meters or 8.2 feet tall at the shoulder, and was over 15 feet long when you include its albeit short tail. It specifically hailed from North America during the late Eocene, and was actually one of the first terrestrial animals on the planet to reach 5 tons following the demise of the dinosaurs. And at this size, plus given the predators that were around, it's thought that adults might have been untouchable, having no natural predator. And I'm sure it certainly helped that they also look quite menacing thanks to their very distinctive double horns. But here's the real crazy part. Because despite being absolutely giant for a mammal, the Megacerops might not even have been the largest Brontothere. And it's possible that it wasn't even close, as the lesser known genera could have it beat. And that is the Ambulotherium. This was in fact a very closely related genus that was actually slightly older than the Megacerops, having lived in Eocene Mongolia about 3 million years before the Megacerops would evolve. And this guy isn't exactly new, and in fact, it's always been suspected that the Ambulotherium was a larger Brontothere. However, the talk about it being the largest ever only started happening after the discovery of a Titanic skull back in the mid-70s, as the partial skull was found that alone was over 4 feet or 1.2 meters long, possibly even a bit longer, making it not only greater in length than the skull of modern-day elephants, but also comparable to certain kinds of large theropods.
What is this? That is a weird looking, that looks almost human shaped. That's with a big nose. That's funky. I'm taller than 4 feet, hello?
So, it was obviously clear to the researchers that they had a monster on their hands. And though it's nigh impossible to tell just how big the specimen was without the rest of the body, some estimates have speculated that this noggin belonged to a nearly 9-ton individual that was anywhere from 18 to 20 feet long, or 5.4 to 6 meters, while standing tall enough that if you're right next to one, you'd have to look up straight into the sky to see its face. And besides being absurdly large, another interesting trait about this Brontothere that was a bit unique was its horn, as it had evolved into one large structure that more resembled a battering ram than anything else. And this originally led to the notion that, like a ram, the Ambulotherium would use this structure to bash not only any threats, but also each other during interspecific competition. However,
love me some prehistoric mammals. We're learning a lot today. I have never heard about any of these, so. But thank you for the super chat. Thank you. Yeah, we're learning today.
However, when actually analyzing their rams, paleontologists noted that compared to relatives, theirs was actually much thinner and hollower, leading to the new idea that they weren't used as weapons, but rather means to communicate, possibly even helping to resonate certain sounds, whilst their absolutely gigantic size was likely more than enough defense by its lonesome. So there you have it, one obscure mammalian giant. But funny enough, the Ambulotherium, or even the Brontotheres as a whole, are not the only ones. There are others. And if we switch specifically to the realm of carnivores, one that is quite shocking is a species that actually has a decent shot at the title for the largest mammalian predator of all time. Well, that isn't a whale. And this mystery animal is somewhat tied to what I consider an actual living obscure giant, and that would be walruses. Now obviously most people have heard of walruses, I'd hope at least, but many don't know just how big they truly are. And so, to put their size into perspective, large males are often twice or 3 times the size of freaking polar bears, and have megatusks that can each measure up to 100 centimeters or 3.3 feet long. And yet, despite being this massive, living walruses are actually pretty much the littlest of bros, so you could say. As in reality, there was a much larger, now extinct kind of walrus that once thrived, which didn't just outsize extinct walruses, but again is also a contender for the largest carnivoran to ever live. And its name, Pontolus magnus.
Magnus mentioned? Yeah, so of course the biggest mammal would be a carnivore, poggies.
To find this beast, you'd have to travel back to the Miocene period some 12 million.
Oh my gosh, and they bite ankles. 3 feet shows 5 hands. Look, math is hard, Pen, okay? It's very difficult. 2 cots worth of tusk. Okay, band, Alan, hello.
Years ago, a time when prehistoric oceans in general were much scarier than current, housing not only iconic extinct giants such as the megalodon, but also similarly sized predatory whales that belonged to the Physeteroidea, amongst others. And included in these others was our protagonist, the Pontolus magnus, which was an absolute giant in its own right, having a body that extended for over 4 meters or 13 feet long, while also weighing up to 4 tons, the same as a male Asian elephant, whilst larger specimens might have even exceeded this. However, let me emphasize, this was not an elephant, but rather a walrus, a 4-ton freaking walrus.
Yeah.
Additionally, while Asian elephants like their greens, Pontolus magnus was pretty much Ron Swanson, meat only, having been an active predator. Yet, as opposed to living
I understood the Ron Swanson reference, poggies.
walruses that have their tusks, the Pontolus actually lacked these features, having traded them out for a titanic skull that was twice the size of the head of extant walruses. And within the Pontolus skull, you would have found them filled with large, powerful teeth that were designed to pierce and crush megafaunal prey. So, this is all to say that Pontolus magnus was one pinniped that might have taken a very unwelcome interest to a human, assuming obviously if we had been around during its heyday. And if the Pontolus magnus was still alive, it probably would be an actual problem, as unlike extant walruses that inhabit more remote regions of the world, the magnus preferred areas that today are quite densely populated, having been found mainly along the western coast of the US, from California all the way up to Oregon. And in these areas, it's thought that it likely hunted other pinnipeds, such as seals, while crabs, birds, smaller cetaceans, large fish, including, by the way, megalodon pups, and possibly members of the only extinct marine order, the Desmostillions, who I've actually made a video about. So if you haven't seen that, go check it out. And definitely do not think that just because it was chunky, that you would have been able to outswim this creature. Because remember, the walrus also looks like it wouldn't swim.
To be fair, I don't think I can outswim anything in the ocean, okay?
That well. And yet, despite appearing morbidly obese, are capable of swimming in bursts up to 35 kilometers per hour or 22 miles per hour, which is more than 3 times faster than Michael Phelps at his highest recorded swim speed, and quicker than the average person can sprint. And we're not talking about Jesus, so on land that is. And so, it's animals like the Pontolus magnus who really reinforce the idea that large open expanses of water, i.e. seas and oceans, are no bueno. However, freshwater also has harbored its fair share of obscure giants, multiple in fact.
Walruses are goobers and massive trolls, but you don't want to get in their way or spook them. I would never upset any animal on purpose. Biggest animal ever was a carnivore that just eats krill, being the blue whale. Yeah, we like whales. Whales are a little funky. Oh, he fast? He's you know, even though he's built like a beef Wellington, he kind of goes really fast, yeah.
I mean, have you ever seen the show River Monsters? And one prehistoric fish that exemplifies this point pretty well is the Rhizodus. Now, I would say this creature somewhat teeters on the line between obscure and somewhat known. However, its case is still pretty interesting as we are talking about a predatorial freshwater fish that was larger than a freaking great white, and not, I repeat, not a shark. Instead it was a, wait for it, rhizodont, a group of lobe-finned fish of which the Rhizodus was the largest member, and by a decent margin at that, with some specimens of this giant fish apparently measuring up to 7 meters or 23 feet long, while weighing potentially 1.5 tons, making it a contender for the largest freshwater fish of all time. And perhaps not surprisingly, it was during the Carboniferous, the age of amphibians and creepy crawlies, when this fish lived. inhabiting the dense woodlogged rivers and streams in North America, England, and Russia. And given its size, it likely hunted fair-sized fish and tetrapods, and would have done so with the help of some pretty gnarly teeth, as each rhizodus came equipped with enlarged tusks or fang-like teeth.
Yeah, it kind of looks like a denser version of an eel. We can just make a sea moth to swim faster. True, but do we really want to build a sea moth? But yeah, beef Wellington with an engine. Real. Seems like historic times followed the same rules today. Just don't go outside. Easy. See, just don't go outside. You'll be good.
It grew to be longer than the tooth of a literal T-Rex, and implied that instead of being limited to swallowing animals whole, the rhizodus could absolutely attack, kill, and then rip prey apart into more bite-sized bites. And just to make this giant even scarier, paleontologists noticed that its frontal fins were, in fact, even more developed and powerful than its back ones, leading to the notion that even on the water edge, you would not be totally safe. With the idea being that much like a crocodile or alligator, the rhizodus could actually lunge at animals along the shoreline in surprise attacks. So, one second you're looking at your beautiful reflection in the water, and then the next there's a face as big as your body gobbling you up. Yeah. So, just one more thing that makes the Carboniferous an absolute nope for me. However, this was not the only time where freshwater harbored forgotten giants, as if you traveled to the Cretaceous, you would have found an even lesser known animal that was just as, or possibly even bigger than the rhizodus, and that would be the Mawsonia. Statistically, chances are you've never heard this guy before, but you might know the group of fish it belongs to. The coelacanths, who made some buzz.
I was gonna say it looks like a coelacanth, but I thought that sounded dumb. Oh my gosh, okay. Poggers.
A few years back for quote-unquote reappearing after having been extinct since the late Cretaceous. And while we obviously know that it is now wrong to have called this group extinct, it is still accurate to say they were better off during the Cretaceous, as along with being more diverse, they were also more widespread. And the Mawsonia in particular is known to have come from both brackish and freshwater rivers found throughout South America, Eastern North America, and Africa, where it actually coexisted with the infamous.
Never doubt yourself, Cod. I don't have a lot of knowledge about things that I can remember that I keep in there. I literally was like, yeah, Pokemon looks like Relicanth. Rom had the same brain.
Miss Spinosaurus, who statistically you are likely to know, and was one of the largest theropods to ever live. However, we're obviously here for the fish, not the dinosaur.
He's pogging, okay.
And while it wasn't as big as the Spino, the Mawsonia was still giant, measuring up to 5.48 meters, or nearly 18 feet long, which is longer than the average giraffe is tall. And while this is obviously not as long as the rhizodus, what might have given Mawsonia the edge in sheer size was its weight. As opposed to the former, Mawsonia was much thicker all around, and the largest specimens might have cracked 2 tons. And not to mention that some speculate that given the size variation seen in coelacanths today, a 6-meter or nearly 20-footer might be out there too. And so this all begs the question of what is a coelacanth that weighs more than 2 polar bears smashed together eat?
Weighs more than 2 polar bears, okay. Well, I hope they don't eat cheeseburgers. Think of the sushi, that's a lot of sushi you'd have to eat in one day.
And the answer is, we aren't so sure. As based on recovered teeth, it's possible this fish had a preference for some crunchy texture, being duraphagous and eating hard-shelled animals such as large crabs, snails, and more. But then there's the bit more unnerving idea that Mawsonia fed like a Goliath grouper, which basically means it was an oversized Kirby, using powerful suction to gobble up pretty much anything that fit in its mouth. And considering that the much smaller groupers have been documented vacuuming up 5-foot sharks.
Well, that's terrifying. Okay, continue.
I shudder to imagine what would happen if a person had swum too close to the Mawsonia. So perhaps just best to stay far away. And ultimately, the Mawsonia wasn't the only relatively unknown giant from its environment. There were plenty more where that came from. And so this is all to say that while we all have our fan favorites when it comes to giant prehistoric animals, they certainly were not the only ones. And if this video gets enough likes, there will certainly be a part 2. Thanks for watching, and until next time on Extinct Zoo.
Well, all right then. Who the frick is smashing polar bears together? Somebody is, Pen. Somebody is, and we're gonna find out who. Okay, what the ham? Okay. Polar bears themselves, I guess. Let me just close this really quick. Oh, I gotta make sure to close that tab. Holy, awesome video. Yeah, a lot of cool stuff in there. I like how every time he's like, a lot of people don't know about this one. I'm like, well, I definitely don't know about it then. There is no way I will know about most of these types of things. You know what I mean? Okay, so that is it for today. I'm gonna go spend some time with BB. If this video can get enough likes, I'll create more giant prehistoric animals. He'll find them. He'll do research, Pen. Come on. Didn't have smashing pullovers on my bingo card today. I don't think any of us did. I don't think any of us did. Oh, I have to go eat too, because all I had was a fig bar and a banana this morning, so oof. All right, so I'm gonna go relax. You guys all have a good rest of your day. Tetra's not going on today, but we'll be on Twitch tomorrow. I don't really know what I'm playing. Maybe Bua, maybe more cold game. I don't know. Yeah, I'm spending time with the BB and with the wife, get things done in the house. But thank you, Goobers, for hanging out with me. I hope you had a good time. Look forward to the videos that'll be coming out at some point. There you go. There's Tetra if you want to check out Tetra. There's my Twitch if you want to check out my Twitch. Once again, thank you for hanging out with me. I hope you have a good rest of your day/night. And take it easy, chat. Bye. Bye, 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 bye. Bye, 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 bye.